What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
Glass Review,
John Wick, Chapter 3,
and Spider-Man ruins the Avengers?
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. Me are my co-hosts, Benwah.
Hi.
And DJ Melly Mel.
Oh, no he didn't.
Now, before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoy the show, tell some friends about it. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, you are helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they've probably never heard of. Now, as to where you can find us, the show is on Twitter at Giant Leap, the number 4 Geeks. You can also get a hold of our resident DJ Melly Mel at Froggy Beaver. And Benwah is at Benwah Gaming. That's BENWAH on Twitter. So, what you been doing?
Freezing my ass off.
Yeah.
Yep. We were out and about this weekend, and we went to a wrestling tournament for high school kids.
Oh,
that was exciting.
So did our team win?
Yes, the ones that we were rooting for.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yes, they did.
Yay, sports.
Yay. Well, I don't know if the whole team won per se, but the individual we were rooting for, he won 4-1. So that's
all
good.
For one for all.
Well, he had 5 matches, and he wwon 4 of them.
Shit.
So, congrats to him on that.
Shout out to anonymous
shout
wrestler.
Shout out to Mr. Host in Oscoda there. I appreciate you.
Sweet.
Let's see, what else did we do? Sunday we had a whole day of nothing planned. But T-Money decided he was going to go out and cook steaks Sunday night.
Word.
And for those of you that don't know, it was -10 before our
That's what I was
going
to say, like, wow, I am impressed.
He cooked 14 steaks out on a grill.
Damn. Did it take like twice as long to cook since it was like -10 degrees outside?
No, I mean, it took a long time because he had steaks and asparagus and he was out there freezing his butts off.
It's like you had to turn the fire up to keep it from refreezing while it was on the grill.
Yeah. He kept running in the house because he couldn't see, and he's like, "Is this a medium well?" Not even close.
He's like, my eyes are frosted shut.
Well, you know, he wears glasses, and so they kept fogging up and
nice,
couldn't see.
nice.
It was dark. It was very poorly lit. But none of us got food poisoning, and we all thoroughly enjoyed our steak, so.
It was probably still frozen. How could you? All right, Benoit, what you been doing?
Well, just hearing about the steaks reminds me that I forgot to take pork chop that was left for me at work the other day. My bad. Also, apparently earlier today, I put out a tweet just talking about like how I was listening to Richard Marx.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Richard Marx actually liked that tweet.
Word.
And so now I'm following Richard Marx.
Nice. Now explain who Richard Marx is for those who don't know.
Singer-songwriter, came to prominence in the late 80s. Kind of still makes music, but it's nowhere near as popular in the pop music charts. Really good singer-songwriter. You might, you know what? Well, we might get into that a little bit later, actually.
Okay.
No, we won't.
Okay.
But no, he's a damn good singer-songwriter, and if you're from my era of music, you either like him or you're wrong.
Damn.
Wow.
Those are some pretty
one of the best mullets ever,
absolute
too,
choices.
by the way.
Your era of music, sir. How come you just gonna leave some of us out in that?
Well, because if you're not from my era, you might not know who he is, but if you were to listen to him, you would like him, or else, like I said, you'd be wrong.
Okay.
Shout out Richard Marx.
Sounds fair.
Sounds legit. Cool.
Okay, so as for myself, as some of you may know, I think I brought this up on a podcast once before.
Maybe? Possibly?
Probably. I could have cut
I
it
want
out.
to know because you haven't told me yet.
Right. I might have cut it out, but who knows? As you folks here that I'm talking to right now know, I'm going to Austin this Saturday, and I'll be down there for 4 days, and I'm a bit nervous about it. That being said, though, I've been pretty much just talking my ass off like all week, humble brag. I've been fortunate enough to talk to some other indie podcasters on the show that I got some interviews lined up for, you fine listeners out there.
Nice.
A couple comic creators are going to be on the show in these next coming
that'd
weeks.
Be legit.
I had a couple guest spots that I was on that are coming up. Actually, by the time you hear this, at least 2 of them will have already aired. I was on a podcast called Growing Up Gaming. That episode just released today. Today would be Tuesday. And the other episode, me and Benwah were on Nerd to the Third. And that came out yesterday. And,
so that would have been Monday.
Yes. Well, I figured it was implied since I said today was Tuesday. Hey, you never know.
You never know.
But yeah, no, I had a really good time on both podcasts. I'm really appreciative for anybody that actually listens to our show and is like, hey, I want to talk to that guy. I don't know why, but I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, so I've been getting a lot of stuff prepared because I'm technically on my vacation right now. I just haven't actually left for Austin yet. Mm-hmm. And because I got 2 solid weeks off from work.
Lucky.
I know. But hey, look, I earned that shit. I have not taken not a single vacation the entire year. So I do all my vacation at the beginning of the new year, end of fiscal year last year, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Either way. So yeah, so I got all this time off, but I haven't actually been able to relax like I want to because I've been constantly recording or guesting or editing or something. I feel like we're back in October doing all the horror shit again.
That was intense.
Yeah, so but I mean, it's all in good fun. Like, I'm not complaining by no means.
Well, you'll have 4 weird days in Austin and you'll be able to relax and
hell yeah.
Enjoy.
We'll come back with a tan.
I'll say, you looking at me all crazy. The slogan for Austin is keep Austin weird.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Those of you that aren't from the Texas Austin area specifically wouldn't necessarily know that.
Nah, I was gonna say I didn't know.
No, you're like, what the fuck?
She's like,
Weird.
you're not from the Texas area,
something.
motherfucker. Of course you don't
know. But yeah, they actually have T-shirts and everything that say "Keep Austin Weird."
Sweet.
Lots of weird stuff goes on in Austin, but it's a hell of a party.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to the trip, and like I said, I'm just trying to get all this stuff prepared and ready, so then that way when I'm down there, I'm not gonna be working, quote unquote, on the show. Everything will just be done and out there for you folks to listen to. I got some fun stuff planned, so just be patient. You guys will hear it. But anyway, moving on.
Oh God, you're such a baby. Just say that you like hearing yourself talk. Oh, my plane's gonna crash. I'm gonna die. You're such a fucking diva. Christ, get over it.
It is a bittersweet occasion.
Yes.
Spider-Man is back.
Yes.
But he kind of maybe possibly ruined the Avengers Endgame movie that's coming out. Now, that being said, before we get into it, for those that, I don't know, have been sleeping under a rock or some shit, the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer came out over the week, and a lot of people were excited, and then a lot of people were upset because they're like, oh, they ruined it, so we know Spider-Man's coming back. But can we be real for a second here, people?
We already knew that Spider-Man was coming back.
The moment Black Panther died in Infinity War, I was like, oh yeah, ain't none of this shit finna stick. I'm like, that movie just made $1 billion fucking dollars. Like, there's no way in hell they just killed him off. And then when they killed Spider-Man, I was like, oh yeah, ain't none of this shit finna stick. Now, granted, I think on some level we all knew that none of these characters were going to stay dead. But it was fun to pretend for the little bit of the time you were in the movie theater to be like, hey, this is a cataclysmic event and all these heroes are gone.
No,
I cried. So
I know you did.
I ain't even ashamed of that shit. I was like, why?
T-Money be super excited if Tony Stark never comes back in.
Honestly, when he got stabbed by Thanos, I was like, oh, here it comes. This is it. And then it's like, oh, just kidding. Just gonna spray this shit shut. And I was like, y'all just gonna keep finding ways not to kill this motherfucker. I'm like, y'all just turned half the cast of the Avengers to dust, but Robert Downey Jr., he's still getting that paycheck. He's like, hey, baby, I'm all good. But that being said, first things first, I have a theory, okay? And I've mentioned this a bunch of times before, but I'm gonna say it again. Mm-hmm. My theory is that this movie takes place before Infinity War
Okay.
Because I would honestly be shocked if it doesn't.
Right.
Because, okay, this is why I say that. For one, from the beginning I said, how are they going to release this movie or start advertising for this movie that comes out after Infinity War, but they got to start showing trailers before Infinity War? And it's like, you can't kill this character off and then start showing trailers for their new movie before we resolve how they come back. And it's like, I just don't see how that's going to work. And I was like, well, maybe because it's from two different studios, because Sony still technically owns Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, who knows? But my theory is that this takes place before Infinity War. Because at the beginning of Infinity War, when you first see Spider-Man, he's on a school bus, and they're going across the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever. And, you know, he sees a spaceship, he gets off the bus and puts his mask on and then does the Spider-Man shit. I think that by the end of Far From Home, we will pick up at that moment.
I'm sure.
Where they're coming back from the field trip.
I'm sure.
Because I'm like, I don't see how else that would make sense. I could be wrong, because this is what the controversy in the trailer is. People think that the movie is spoiling Endgame because we see Nick Fury and he turned to dust at the end of Infinity War. We obviously see Spider-Man is back, and we see Happy Hogan. And when Happy Hogan shows up, he has this big ass check that is signed by Pepper Potts, not by Tony Stark.
Right.
And we never see Tony in the movie because he was in Homecoming.
Right.
And I was like, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, though. That's why my theory keeps going back to this happens before Infinity War. Now, maybe it does happen afterwards, but they don't even kind of address the fact that a big purple dude came with a gold glove with a bunch of bedazzled jewels on it, snapped his fingers, and then half the world turned to dust. It's like, they seem pretty happy-go-lucky in the movie. They're like, oh, we're going to Venice. And
it wasn't even half of just the Avengers. It was half of the world.
Exactly. Well, half the universe, technically.
Half the universe.
So I'm just like, I don't see you just bouncing back from that quick, unless this is supposed to be like years later. But no, he still wouldn't be in high school then.
No.
So this is either an alternate reality timeline shit, or, like I said, it happens before Infinity War.
Makes more sense to say that it happens before Infinity War.
I definitely agree with that. But now, remember back when we talked about, because we all three of us talked about this a few months ago, back when they had those set photos that came out of the Spider-Man costumes that we looked at.
Oh, that black, yeah.
Yeah, so now that we've actually seen them in motion, I'm really liking it a lot more than what I did when we just saw those kind of grainy pictures and shit from somebody's cell phone,
right.
You know, hiding behind some bushes or some shit. Like, now that we've actually seen it in motion, I think that they actually look pretty sweet.
I like the new suit that he gets.
The red and black one or the all black one?
I think it was the red and black one.
Yeah, where he's like flying with the wings and shit. That shit looked dope as hell.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, because there's a part in the trailer where Flash goes, like, MJ, she's like, what is it with you and Spider-Man? He was like, what? He looks out for the neighborhood. He has a dope suit. And he was like, and I really respect him. I was like, you're right. He does have a dope suit. Mm-hmm. I like the all black one because I like the little thing where he like flipped the lenses down and shit.
Yeah,
I was
that,
like, oh,
that
that's
was pretty cool too.
It reminded me of when we first saw him in Civil War, when they showed him for the first time, and he takes Cap's shield, and you see his eyes get squinty and shit, and everybody was like, oh shit, they made the eyes do the thing when he does the thing in the comic books with the thing.
And only real comic bookies will get what you just said.
Yes. But that being said, though, can we, for just a moment, talk about how everybody's trying to push up on fucking Aunt May in these movies? Like,
right?
I'm trying to push up on Aunt May.
I know, right? Because I was like, look, I don't blame them, because Marissa Tomei is sexy as shit, but like, goddamn, man, it's like, Peter, like, I can't take you nowhere. Like, this is bullshit. Like, you was, I come home one day randomly, Tony Stark got you on a couch and shit, yo, panties off, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? You're like, we need your help, Captain America. Like, yeah, I know what you was really here for. And then Happy shows up in this trailer, and he's like, oh, is that a new dress? And she's like, oh, you noticed? And this and the other. And he's like, yeah. He's like licking his lips and shit. Then he look over at Peter, and Peter's like, what the fuck is you doing?
Like, that's my aunt.
He's like, what just happened? Like, no. Like, I did not co-sign none of this bullshit.
Nope.
She's like, hey, you got your secrets, Peter. I got mine. You out there being Spider-Man, and I'm getting some dick, all right? Uncle Ben been dead for a long time, okay? She said, I got needs,
I can
too.
take his place.
Right, I know, right? I was like, shit. She was like, I got needs, too. I gotta take care
Uncle
of mine.
Benwah is here, Peter.
Uncle Benwah, nice.
I like that.
Nice.
Man.
It was $20. Go have fun, kid.
Right. He said, here, we just gonna give you this big ass check. Why don't you go out and do some Spider-Man shit with it or something? I don't know. Go buy some new web shooters. Get the fuck out of here.
I need about 3 hours.
Right. So, though it does, 3 hours. Holy shit, happy he is for the tear that ass up. He'll come home, all the lamps broken in the apartment and shit. He's like, was Dr. Octopus here? He's like, yeah, that's what I call him. That's what the ladies call me. That's what your mama said. Anyway.
My God.
But it does seem like the rumors are true, though, that Spidey is going to be fighting some elementals in this shit. Because at first I was like, is that the Sandman? But I was like, no.
That's what I thought.
It's some kind of rock monster thing. Go ahead.
I'm going to say, like, I got a feeling it's all going to be just Mysterio.
Yes.
Putting up fronts.
Yes.
To make him look like a hero.
Gyllenhaal?
It's going to be like what, like if you ever played Mega Man 7, it's going to be like when you fight Bass in the beginning. Bass acts like he's a good guy.
Right. No.
Just so we can get access to, Dr. Light's lab and he tears that shit up.
No.
I think it's going to be a story like that.
No, I think you're absolutely right, because we see the earth elemental, we see the water elemental, and we see a fire one too. And then Mysterio pops up and he's like, you don't want any part of this, and he does some Doctor Strange looking shit, and then he's flying around and fighting a Hydro Man monster thing or whatever, and I'm just like, I call bullshit on all this shit. Because now, if you're not a big comic book person and don't know a lot about the comics, if you ever saw the 90s Spider-Man cartoon show, Mysterio is in that, and he is a villain.
Yes, he is.
He is a failed movie actor who went into stuntman and special effects work, and then he somehow got fired from that. And he blames Spider-Man for some convoluted ass reason. All these motherfuckers like, that damn Spider-Man, and it's like,
you meddling kid.
I know, right? I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that fucking Spider-Man. And it's like, maybe you just fucked up. Did you ever think about that?
Right. Quit blaming all your failures on a 16-year-old
right,
kid.
I know. It's like, motherfucker, like, I'm a sophomore. Eat a dick. Like, don't be blaming me for your bullshit. Anyway, he shows up, and I think it's kind of like what Benwah was saying, that he's basically going to be creating these threats, and then he's going to come in and help stop them. Now, I don't know what his end goal is. Like, I don't know if he wants to be an Avenger too. And he's like, look, Nick Fury, I got powers and I'm a good guy too. And he's like, you could have just not, been a good guy and not done all this extra shit. Like, you don't have to manufacture a villain to fight. Like, you could have just used whatever special effects type shit you doing and just fought crime normally. Like, Batman ain't got no powers and he do that shit all the time. Because Mysterio doesn't actually have powers. He's just
it's all
a
show.
dude.
No, he's just a human.
Yeah, he's just a dude. So I'm like,
a dude with gadgets.
Yeah, but he uses his special effects knowledge to make it seem like he can do some shit. And I was like, how did you?
I wonder if he was a magician in his his prior lives.
Well, no. Technically, he is an illusionist.
Yeah, an illusionist
as part of his gimmick. Yeah. So you could say he is a magician in that same sense too.
But that's what bothers me though, because I'm like, if you can make some shit look like that realistic, and he flying around and he got gas and Doctor Strange beams shooting out and all this other shit, I'm like, you telling me that somebody didn't look at that and was like, yes, you gonna work on every movie I ever make. You gonna be on a Vegas show stage.
Right?
You gonna be the next Chris Angel. Like, fuck Mind Freak. Get all that bullshit out of here. Like, move David Copperfield shit out of here. All that.
Penn and who?
Right.
Well, it wasn't that he initially really wanted to be like in special effects. He just had an knack for it. He really wanted to be a big actor.
Yeah,
and when that went down south, that's when he's like, I'll screw special effects. I can make more money, not being legit.
He just robbed him.
That was the problem. He got pissed off. Well, yeah, that's what it was. He got pissed off because he robbed a place, like a museum or something. He framed Spider-Man for it.
Yeah, that's
do that.
right. Yeah.
And when Spider-Man revealed it was really him, that's when he wanted to I hate Spider-Man now because if that dastardly kid wouldn't have caught. It was Scooby-Doo like.
Yeah,
no,
pretty much. Yeah, they took the mask off and it was like,
so
it was
that's
always
the beef,
you,
which
the
is
principal.
Which is why I'm thinking, I'm wondering if this is so predictable that I get the plot line, it's going to kind of suck. But I'm thinking, like, he puts up all these not fake threats in the sense they can't really cause damage, but I think he just manufactures all these threats so that he can look like the good guy.
Yeah.
Because I believe Nick Fury might even want to recruit him for this purpose. I think he might have some dastardly plan where he can, like, get into S.H.I.E.L.D. and then just tear shit up.
You know, and that's a good point,
Or
too,
maybe
because,
frame S.H.I.E.L.D. for all the things he does.
Yeah, because I've been, like, playing with the idea in my head. I'm like, okay, so clearly he's behind this, but I'm like, what is his end goal? But that's actually pretty good, that he might be trying to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know, maybe he wants to attack.
Might be trying to bring down S.H.I.E.L.D.
Maybe he's trying to get access to some alien shit that they might have or whatever, because, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D., they got all the good shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nick Fury.
They got the Men in Black.
Yeah, he got the hookup. Like, you want that good shit? You go fuck with S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they'll hook you up.
Can we shout out props to Jake Gyllenhaal? Seeing him, he looked pretty good in the trailer.
No. Oh, my mama. When he's flying around and fighting the Hydro thing, when they showed the fishbowl helmet, I was like, yes, because that's the biggest thing I was worried about. Because I'm like, when they said Mysterio was going to be in the movie, before we even saw set photos of Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm like, how are they going to make that fishbowl head work? And I'm like, you know, they're probably going to do that thing that they used to do in superhero movies back in the day, where, like, they never wanted to put the actors in the actual costume. Like, that's what X-Men are never in their actual costumes and shit. And it's like, they're not going to cover Jake Gyllenhaal's face with a fucking big-ass pearl or some shit, you know?
A fishbowl.
Right. I'm like, they're just not going to do that, but they fucking did it. Now, granted,
it was
probably
a clear fishbowl, but...
Right. Probably when he's just in normal scenes, just talking, he won't have it on. But it'll probably be like an Iron Man thing where it, like, comes over his head when he's fighting and shit. But still, though, it looked so dope, and I was like, oh my god. This is why I love Marvel movies, because they will take some silly looking ass shit like that and they will make it work. Like, if you told me when I was 10 watching the Spider-Man TV show, like, that's going to be like a $200 million movie and they going to have him in that costume on the big screen, I would be like, bullshit. It would never fucking happen. Especially after the bat nipples, I was like, there's no way in hell they're going to go through with that shit. But they make it work every time, and I'm always amazed. They make it work. Like, with Captain Marvel, I didn't think they would give her the fucking mask with the mohawk and shit, and
they did.
Super Saiyan flames and all that. And they totally did it.
That.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? They will make that shit work somehow, some way. Other than that, though, like we said, we're pretty sure this is a big misdirect, and it's all going to be some old, you know, hocus pocusy type shit from Mysterio. But before we jump off of this, I did want to talk about MJ. I like what they're doing with her character more so now than what they did in Homecoming, because in Homecoming, she was kind of like, people gonna be mad at me for saying this. She was too woke, quote unquote, for me, because she was all like, oh, like when they went to the Washington Monument, she's like, oh, well, yeah, you know, like the tour guide or the teacher, he's talking about like, oh, you know, this is a great statue and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, and she's like, yeah, you know, it was built by slaves. And I was like, God damn, man. Like, I mean, she is right, but it's like, I don't need that in my Spider-Man movie, man. Like, you keep all that woke shit to yourself. And in this, she kind of does the same thing, but she turns it into a joke because Peter says to her, like, oh, you look pretty. She was like, therefore I have value. And I'm like, God damn, he just said you look pretty. She's like, I'm just fucking with you. I was like, thank God. Because I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I don't want Mary Jane. Well, she's not Mary Jane, but she's MJ. She's pretty much the Mary Jane of this.
She's Mary Jane.
Yeah, well, her name is Michelle in the movie, like, because it was a big controversy, because there's like, you made Mary Jane a darkie or some bullshit. I don't know. People were racist. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And they was mad about it, but I do like, though, that they're kind of toning that down a little bit. They didn't change her completely, because if they just did a 180 with her, then people would be like, oh, y'all too scared to, you know, make a strong feminist character. And it's like, no, but pull it back a little bit. Just a little bit. So hopefully they find a good balance with her, because that, like I said, that last one, man, she was too woke. I was like, okay, I get it. Like, Black Power, all that shit. Like, but calm that shit down.
Well, to be fair, they were kind of following Black Panther.
Yeah.
So
sure, that's fair.
I mean, they had to like keep up that Wakanda Forever look.
Yeah, like, he said, I'm woke than a motherfucker, boy. She said, the man is listening. I think I don't know. We're all in agreement. It looks cool.
Yeah, definitely one we'll go see in theaters.
Oh, you well, look, that's.
I know, no question.
There was
it's Spider-Man, and B, we'd probably watch it for the show. But A, it's Spider-Man. So.
Yeah.
And C, Marissa Tomei.
Yeah,
I know, right?
yeah.
I was gonna say, hell yeah. Which
Just saying.
these, I don't know if that stigma still exists in Hollywood, where like female actresses like stop getting work as they get older and shit. But between Marissa Tomei, Sandra Bullock, and one other person we're going to talk about a little bit later, I'm like, they are aging like a fine wine. And I'm
I'll say
like,
Jamie Lee
God
Curtis.
damn. Jamie Lee Curtis. What the fuck? What are we talking? What notes do you got? I mean, don't get me wrong. Jamie Lee's still looking good. Yeah, I know. With her Activia commercials, I like her with that short haircut too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I saw her on Ellen the other day. She looked like she was in good shape.
Well, we saw her in Halloween, and she looked. I mean, they had her tried to make her look all ratty and old, but I was like, man, she still looked good up under all that makeup shit. You can't hide that shit. Anyway, moving on.
It's okay, Master. We all know you're a beta cook, Marvel fanboy. But we still love you.
I'm sorry if anyone listened to the Nerd to the Third episode that we did and then turned around and listened to this, because I'm probably going to repeat some of the same things I said in that, because we talked about this trailer already.
Of course.
So I feel like I'm kind of rehashing what I already said, but still, you know, I'll try to keep it fresh for you.
We'll
guys.
make it quick.
Right off the bat, John Wick 3 Parabellum. Yes. The shit looks gorgeous. Like, yeah, there's cool action and the gunfights and there's car chases and all that shit. But I think just like the visual style looks really cool, like with the colors. And in all three of the John Wick movies, like they always seem to shoot it in a certain light, and it's like in a club or some shit. And it's very pretty to look at.
It is.
Like, even if you don't like action movies, it's just nice to look at. Like, you could just turn the volume off and just look at it, and it always looks cool.
But if you did that, you wouldn't be able to hear
All that.
Keanu's... No, you wouldn't be able to hear Keanu's sexy voice. So why would you mute it?
That's fair. But I do think that
man.
they've done a good job to keep the visual style looking good, and I'm always impressed. Every new one that comes out, I'm like, man, y'all just... I don't know if it's just the way they shoot it or the way it's lit or what, but it always just looks so slick.
The production crew and the
stylized.
director is definitely in sync with each other.
It reminds me of like the original Matrix. Like, not so much the second and third one, but the first Matrix. Like, it was just so slick and just stylized. It just looks so crisp and sharp. It looks really good.
Yes.
That being said, though, I am genuinely pleased to see where this franchise has gone, because, I mean, look, let's be honest. The original John Wick has like a paper thin plot. I mean, for real. It's like, I was an ex-assassin, they killed my dog and stole my car, I kill everybody, the end. Like, there's not a whole lot to that movie. It's not like it's some like intricate web of...
It doesn't have to be, though.
You made it sound so shallow, though, when you said that the other day, and you're making it sound shallow now. This is a man who literally gave up the business of being a hitman. I'm assuming you've seen the first two, right?
Oh, yes. No. I've seen them.
He gave up his position as a hitman
to be with his wife.
I guess we'll just say the underworld, for lack of a better term, for the mob or whatever. He gave it up because he wanted to live a life clean with his, wife. And it turns out that his wife wound up dying of like cancer or something, so she left with him a puppy, and that puppy was like the last living remnant of his wife and his family.
Yeah.
So when that dog died, he literally had no family. In his own worldview, no reason to live, so he wanted to take away the lives of everybody who took away his life. That was the plot. You may think that is like paper thin, but that is just emotional turmoil that's like supreme vengeance.
I'll give it this. There is good character development for him, but as far as like the rest of the movie, and yes, that is a good part of it, a part of his motivation, but once we get past them flashbacks and shit explaining why he cared so much about the dog, they don't go back to that at all. It's just go after that. And again,
well, there's no need.
I enjoy the movie. I'm not knocking it. I love the movie. I'm just trying to say I like how they've built upon the world building from that first movie, because there is little nuggets in it about there is a bigger world out there of assassins, and there's like, they have their own currency. They have like hotels that are kind of like a Switzerland where you can go there and, you can't be fighting and shit in here. Like this is all off limits and shit. Like there was nuggets of that, but they don't go into it very much until the second movie.
Right.
And in the second movie, they build upon all the little foundations that they put in the first movie and actually gave the supporting characters and the rest of the universe that they've built more context, and it made it feel more tangible and real. Because I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like they explain how they go about putting out hits on people and the blood oaths and all this other kind of shit. And I was like, oh, that shit was cool. And I was like, if I would have only seen that first movie and then you would have told me that, oh, there's all this other shit out there, I would have been like, well, I didn't get that from the first one. But they planted the seeds just enough to where they could say, okay, we kind of sort of mentioned this in the first one. Now we're going to get more detailed into it.
Right. It makes you want to go back and be like, oh yeah,
and watch it again. Yeah, to pick up on some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And now in this movie,
in the third one, we're going to end up doing the same. We're going to go back and watch 1 and 2. And
exactly. Because it's even more intrigue because, we got the crew back together, which I don't know for sure. I saw a picture of them, the 3 of them together, but I don't know if she's in the movie. But I think Carrie-Anne Moss might pop up in this too. So we'll have Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity all back together again because we got Neo and Morpheus in John Wick 2. And I was like, oh, this is so cool to see them back together again.
We get Neo and Morpheus in John Wick 3.
Yep. But I think Carrie-Anne Moss might pop up somewhere here. I could be wrong.
That'd be legit.
But I would be happy because we're never going to get another Matrix movie, at least not with them 3. And I'm like, Lawrence Fishburne ass, he done had one too many trips to Jack in the Box. He ain't doing no more karate no more. Hey, look, man, because him and Keanu were about the same age, and Lawrence kind of let himself go. But, I'm like, Keanu, he still kept it tight. But Lawrence, he's like, I don't give a fuck. He's
like, I got that CSI money.
Right, he said, I got that Blackish money now. I don't need to be doing this kung fu shit. He said, let Keanu do all that bullshit. But yeah, from what we've seen a little bit in the trailer, it looks like there are these other factions of assassin groups and other, people who have their own ulterior motives, and John's trying to find asylum with somebody or trying to get some kind of, do I want to use the word diplomatic immunity? I guess that would be the closest thing I could say.
He's just trying to find a safe place.
Right. Well, he's trying to get somebody to okay him living and take the hit off of him. But it seems like it's not going to be that easy. And did you guys recognize who the lady was he was talking to when he had the little rosary beads in his hand?
I did, but I can't place her name at this moment.
What? But do you know where she's from?
Yes.
Do you know, Ben?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
He's talking to the lady who plays Morticia in the Addams Family movies.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay.
And I was just
like,
now
that you say that,
Yep. Angelica Houston.
Angelica Houston. Yeah.
Good job. Which I had a huge crush on her when I was a kid. I was like, hell yeah. That being said, though, before I get too distracted,
I'll say don't tip the table over.
Right. I know. I said about how the movie looks cool, minus even ignoring all the gunplay and shit like that. But gunplay in this is still looking dope as shit.
Yep.
Like we talked about this on the other podcast, but it's kind of impractical and a little bit silly, but I did think it was pretty dope that he has the scene where he's shooting a dude with the AR-15, and then when he runs out of bullets, he throws the fucking gun at the dude and shit. Like, that was cool. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, because...
Well, it's kind of like Die Hardy, where he's like, I'm out of bullets. Let's throw a helicopter.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm just like, I feel like if you were in a real gunfight, you'd get shot by somebody, like... Ain't nobody finna let you just throw no gun at them and then run up on them and take their other gun and shoot some other dude with their gun. But anyway, it's a movie. I'm nitpicking at this point, but it does look cool. So much so to where they found a way to work in, like, instead of having a car chase, there's a motorcycle chase, and he's like riding a horse at some point.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
Which,
Only John Wick.
Which, I mean, hey, look, he said, fucking, what is that Bible scripture about death riding a black horse or some shit like that? It was a pale rider how does it go? I don't know. I ain't been in church in a long time.
You asking the wrong
Yeah,
guy.
Right, I'm like,
you
it's-
talking to the wrong people.
and
here.
it's in that Johnny Cash song too, but it's something. It was a pale rider, and it was a black horse, and the rider's name was Death or some such shit. I don't know. Either way, it looked dope as hell. Like, it was cool because, you know, I am stealing this joke again from whoever that person was. I saw it on Twitter, but they said John Wick is so badass that he brought a horse to a motorcycle fight, and I was like, yes. I was like, yes, that shit was dope as hell. How they didn't run him down on the motorcycles when he was on a horse, I don't know. Why your first thing would be to just not shoot the horse and crash him instead of trying to shoot John. But I'm like, hey, whatever. And then did you see when he was on the horse, he had a fucking katana and shit? And I was just like, what is happening right now?
There was just so much that I was just like, yes. And not to mention, I'm huge Keanu Reeves fan.
Oh, well,
Huge.
nothing
Like,
gave that away.
No, I did not get the puddle under the table.
Right.
No,
I just cleaned this fucking carpet.
You're flipping over tables over there, so I don't want to
true.
hear nothing about my
That's
puddles. But yes, Keanu Reeves is just
Keanu's
aging
bomb.com.
well.
Yeah.
Aging well.
Yeah, I think I made this joke like,
Bomb.com.
I think I made this joke like way back in the early days of the podcast when we talked about the Bill and Ted sequel.
That we're still waiting for.
Yeah, but they say black don't crack. No, Keanu doesn't fucking crack. 'Cause
Right.
He
He's
still
immortal.
looks like,
He looks like he's 20 in speed.
yeah, maybe 30 by this point, but he's like 50 something, pushing 60.
Yeah,
I think
he's
at this
pushing
point.
60.
And I'm like, man, he still looks fucking good.
Keanu?
Yeah.
Nah, Keanu's, I want to say he's 55.
That's
Yeah,
pushing
50
60.
pushing 60. Look, he's past the halfway point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's aged very well, and he stayed in a good shape. and
We'll
shit.
just put it this way. I don't like older dudes like that, but if Keanu come knocking and was asking, yes.
Okay,
take
I'm
me.
sorry, he is 54.
Okay, well, still
Still,
semantics. I was say 54, 55.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Still, he's old enough.
Keanu
he
to
can
you
be-
is Marissa Tomei to me.
Hey, I ain't knocking Marissa Tomei.
Hell
She's
no.
a hottie too.
Hell
So
no.
No. I said no.
I get what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
one of the other things in this though is that John has got himself a new partner in Halle Berry,
Yes.
who. That's what I was referring to about how I was saying I don't know if this whole stigma against older women.
Oh yeah,
in Hollywood.
Oh, I knew where you was going.
Yeah,
with
because
that. Yeah.
between Marissa Tomei, Sandra Bullock, and Halle Berry, they're all in their like 50s. I'm pretty sure at this point they look just mwah.
My brother was excited about that too. Halle Berry's always been his.
Like she still looked like she still looked as good as she did back when she did Catwoman. Terrible fucking movie, horrible horseshit movie, but she looked fucking damn good in that cat suit. Like that leather shit with the straps and all that, and the midriff out. And I was like, yes, all that shit. Like I sometimes go back and watch that movie now just to see her in the cat suit. Like
put it
I
on
hate
mute.
the movie. Pretty much just skip to that scene where she's walking on a roof and she's like in the leather.
She got
and shit.
them leather boots on.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Mike. Stop flipping that table.
Right, I know. I was gonna say you're just gonna hear fucking wood cracking, but not only does he have a partner in her, which they kind of make it seem like she's kind of crazy, because Keanu, he's like, hey, you know, this ain't gonna be like last time. We can't just go in there guns blazing and shit. And she's like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, she got some issues. But not only does he have a partner now, but now he's got like fucking pit bulls and shit.
He got them at the end of 2.
Yeah, but
Yeah, DMX.
yeah, but I'm like, but they're like fighting motherfuckers now, because like at the very end of the trailer,
Of course, he trained them.
yeah, they're like sick them and they go kill these dudes and shit. And I was like, yes. What was the name of his dog in the first movie? Do we remember? Me neither. Yeah, it's like Beagle Revenge and shit. Go get him for your brother, for your brother from another dog mother.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever.
Sure, we'll go with that.
But I am curious to see how this movie plays out, because I'm curious to see how John makes it out of this. Because by the end of John Wick 2, the status quo has changed drastically. Like, pretty much all the assassins in the world want to kill him, because I
Right.
think he has a $20 million bounty on him.
14.
Okay, 14 million, not billion. Goddamn. They were like, we'll just drop a nuke on the city. Fuck it. Like, we gonna make sure his ass dead. No, $14 million hit on him.
It came to be 14 because in the second film, they had that blood oath thing, he got contracted to kill this dude's sister for $7 million. Or rather, he got contracted to kill this woman's sister because he wanted to move up the ranks. Then the guy framed John Wick for the death of his sister, and he put out a contract for $7 million.
Well,
so at the end of the film, why he is excommunicated from the Continental and all that, because well, this is basically the plot of the second.
Yeah, but he didn't really.
He had a blood
per
marker
se,
out
though, because
he did frame him.
Well, because he went there.
She slit her wrist.
He went there to kill
and John
her.
Wick
though.
put a bullet in. Yeah,
but she killed herself.
No, but he hired John Wick to kill his sister. Yeah. And then when John Wick killed his sister via him, he goes, "Oh man, John Wick killed my sister, so I'm gonna put a contract on John Wick for $7 million."
Because he went there with every intention to kill the chick, but then it was like a double cross.
He was gonna get Wick killed anyway. Yeah. And then he went and holed up in the Continental like a little bitch once you realized that John was going to kill him, and then John killed him in the Continental.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so despite the fact that the owner of the New York Continental knew he did it and why he did it and agreed with it, by the bylaws of the underworld, he had to be excommunicated for breaking that cardinal rule. So he doubled the contract of $7 million that was initially on John Wick, which is why he has now a $14 million contract out.
Yeah. And I still thought it was bullshit that it even still stood, because I was like, well, he killed the dude who put the hit on him in the first place, so why does it? Who was going to pay for the hit now?
Because he did it in the Continental.
Oh, okay. Or
because the guy's like, I'm not going to leave here because you can't kill me now.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm John Wick. I'm going to kill you. And
see, I thought, though, when he killed him in the Continental, it was just, now you have no safe haven here anymore. Not necessarily that the hit still stands. Because I'm like, if he killed the guy who put the bounty on him, who's going to pay the bounty when they kill him?
The underground. Somebody on the underground. Probably the
Lawrence
guy
Fishburne.
who runs the New York Continental.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's the guy who runs the New York Continental.
Yeah, because he did tell John.
He knows.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a head
start.
He
gave him like an hour heads up.
Yeah.
Because he was bound by the laws of the underworld. Right. He didn't want to personally do it. He has nothing against John Wick, and he understands why John Wick did it. Especially because there was one scene where, like, some of the assassins that were hired by the dude's brother tried to kill him in the Continental, if you remember that.
Which, yeah.
So the guy who runs the New York branch completely understands everything, but he's stricken, or rather bound by the laws, too. Like, he didn't want to do this out of any personal reason. He likes John.
Yeah.
Which is why he gave him the hour before he put out that contract.
Follow the code or whatever. But that's why I kind of thought it was kind of hypocritical, because I was like, well, this dude is sending people in there to kill John in these supposed to be neutral places, but it was like they were kind of holding John to a different standard, but...
No, they weren't holding John to a different standard. It's just that guy who initially set everything up was killed. All the assassins who went after him in the Continental were killed. What can you do? You can't penalize somebody who's dead.
That's true. I don't know. You would think it would just be a wash at that point. Like, all right, everybody dead, whatever. We just gonna let this shit go.
Nah, man, there is no self-defense rules.
I guess not. Shit, they're like, nope, you gotta die, John. So I guess the whole plot of this is him trying to figure out how to get out of that, or he's just gonna kill every fucking assassin that has ever lived by the end of it, which is probably
sounds about right.
Probably gonna end up happening. I mean, he's riding a horse with a fucking samurai sword and shit, so it's like, hey,
he's got Lawrence Fishburne and Halle Berry and some pit bulls. That's all he needs.
I don't know, though, because the way we don't know the context behind it, because we just saw a shot, but it kind of seems like they're framing it to where, like, Lawrence Fishburne might be working with the dude from the Continental.
Maybe.
To kill John? I mean, I don't know, because he helped John Wick in the second movie, but he kind of acted like he didn't really like him. Like, he was kind of just doing it out of just respect, or he owed him a favor. But he was like, you ain't supposed to be coming around here like you playing with fire, even coming and seeking me out and shit. Because remember, he gives him that gun with, like, 2 bullets or some such bullshit, and he's just like, that's all you gonna give me? Like, all right, you get 1 clip. And it was like, oh, okay.
You better make them count.
Yeah. But, I mean, all in all, John Wick 3 looks dope. We're all excited for it. I'm really happy to see that Keanu has another action franchise under his belt to kind of keep his career going, because from what I hear, Replicas is really, really bad. It's that cloning movie that he's in where his family dies in a car crash.
Yeah, that didn't look very great.
No, and I was just like, man, see, I
mean, he's had a couple of...
I feel like that's why they put the trailer out when they did, because they're like, oh, shit, like, this movie's getting bad reviews. We can't let his star fall. Hurry up and put out a trailer for John Wick.
Right,
like, shit.
Right.
People ain't gonna want to see this shit because he's in this bullshit-ass movie. But anyway, we've talked about John for long enough. Moving on.
Well, you're definitely no biblical scholar. The verse is as follows. Behold the pale horse. The man who sat on him was death, and hell followed with him. You're welcome.
Welcome to Benwah's Wabbit Hole. It's where I, Benwah, give you a brief synopsis of random things I found interesting on the internet. Some of these things may be further elaborated on in future podcasts, but I'd recommend you dig deeper for yourself if you're interested.
The views and opinions expressed in the Wabbit Hole are those of Benwah's and Benwah's alone, and do not necessarily reflect the position of any member, affiliate, or future sponsor, despite us not having any, of the One Giant Leap for Geeks podcast.
While Games Done Quick may be on hiatus until their next event in the summer, there was another streamer who wanted to raise money for a good cause. Harry Brewis, aka H-Bomber Guy, with the modest goal of a few $1,000s, fired up Rare's 1999 Nintendo 64 release, Donkey Kong 64, with the intent to procure 101% completion as well as funding for Mermaids, a UK-based organization which supports transgendered youth. This happened about a month after controversy arose when the Big Lottery Fund, which uses extra revenue through the National Lottery as charitable donations towards good causes, were to award Mermaids £500,000. Streaming on Twitch, H-Bomber Guy blew his goal to smithereens as within the first 40 hours, and yes, I said 40 hours as this was a marathon, amassed over $200,000. Multiple celebrities chimed in with their support, including one of the designers of the game Doom, John Romero, American whistleblower Chelsea Manning, legendary singer/actress Cher, and the new and youngest woman to ever serve over Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Over 600,000 people watched as H-Bomber Guy ran DK64 for just under 58 hours straight. And after that, the guy raised $340,000. Less than 3 full days for $340,000. God damn. Now, the other day I stumbled upon a video montage of #1 hits from the 1980s. Naturally, I watched the entire thing because I love that shit. The 80s is my jams. But it got me thinking. On the first edition of the Wabbit Hole, we played a game where hosts Mike C. Squared and DJ Melly Mel had to guess the top 10 Pornhub searches of 2018. Today we're going to do something similar. We're going to see how familiar our hosts are with 80s musical artists, as I'm going to see if they can name the 10 artists who had the most #1 hits on the Billboard music charts in the 1980s.
All right, I got this.
Guys ready for a game? All right, here's how this works. There are top 10, so hopefully you can each do 5. We're going to go back and forth. What I want you to do, we'll start with Melly Mel since she seems pretty confident. I want you to name an artist from the 80s who you think had the most #1 hits in the 80s.
Madonna.
That might have sounded redundant. Madonna? Okay, bing, bing, bing. Madonna comes in actually tied at #4 with 7. 7 hits in the 80s.
Okay.
So that's 1 for Mel. Okay, you're up, Mike. Your turn.
The most in the 80s, Prince.
Prince was actually, tied for #10 with only 4, but he's up there, yes.
Wow, okay, all right. Well, he's in
despite the fact that his first hit actually was, his first #1 hit, I should say, was When Doves Cry off the Purple Rain album in 1983. Mel, you're back up again.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, #1. I'm surprised neither of you said that to begin with. 9 #1 hits in the 1980s. 9. All right. And Mike?
Aerosmith?
Aerosmith. No.
Damn.
They are not on the list. Strike 1 for Mike.
Right.
Mel, you're up.
I'm gonna say Cyndi Lauper.
No.
Damn. Any genre?
Well, this is Billboard Top 100, so any genre could have technically made a #1 hit song. We're not including ones that may have went #1 on like the adult contemporary or the R&B or rock. No, it's #1 Billboard.
Okay. Diana Ross?
Technically, she is not on this list individually, but she did sing a song with a guy who is on this list. So that's still going to be a strike, but it's a clue for Mel.
Okay.
Well, I'll let Mike mull that one over.
Yeah.
However, Bon Jovi is my next answer.
Bon Jovi also tied with Prince for number 10. 4 top number one. Number one. Wow. He got 4.
There you go.
He's
Bon
still in
Jovi-
top 10.
He had 4 number one singles, so he is in the top 10, yes.
Oh, God.
All right, like I mentioned, Diana Ross is technically not on the list, but she did sing
Right, she had a song.
duet with a man who is on this list. Can you think of any Diana Ross duets from the 80s?
Nah, off the top of my head.
You want another clue?
No. I'll pick a different one.
Okay.
Janet Jackson?
Nope. And you got 3 strikes, Mike. You've lost this game, man.
Damn.
Mel, technically you've won because you got 3 so far, but you want to keep going?
Sure.
All right.
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses are not... They did have a number 1 hit in the 80s, but not enough to make it on the...
Top 10.
I thought they had at least 3.
3
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
even...
4 is
3
10.
would not put them on top 10, though.
I know, but at least 3 that I can think of.
Sweet
so.
Child of Mine. Actually,
Welcome
I think...
to the Jungle.
No, I think Sweet Child of Mine was their only number 1 hit.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Jungle didn't make number 1?
Maybe on the rock charts, but not on Billboard. I don't believe so, no.
Ah.
So you got 2 strikes. I'll give you one more chance before I list these off for you.
Let's see. Who else was in the 80s?
Okay, we have Prince, we have Bon Jovi, we have Michael Jackson, we have Madonna.
David Bowie.
Nope, and strike 3, okay.
All right. Who's on there?
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't
Who am
matter.
I
Together,
missing?
you guys got 4 out of 10. That's not that bad, I wouldn't think. All right. We're going to
Almost
start
bad.
from the top. Mind you, there are a lot of ties on this. But number 1 with 9, number 1 hits in the 80s, of course. Rest in peace, Michael Jackson.
Right.
They go from his 1979 album, again, Off the Wall, all the way up into his 1987 album, Bad. Surprisingly, Thriller never hit number 1.
Wow.
The ones that did, though, Rock With You, I Wanna Rock With You, Billie Jean, Beat It, Say, which was actually a duet with Paul McCartney. I
Ugh,
Can't
hate
Stop
that fucking
Loving
song.
You. And of course, we got Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and Dirty Diana.
Yeah.
Number 2, Madonna. Her first number 1 single was Like a Virgin.
Yeah, like a virgin, yeah. Mhm.
And her last single in the 80s that went number 1 was Like a Prayer, which is what also happened to get her to lose her Pepsi sponsorship. Now, tied with 7 number 1 hits, somebody who I'm surprised you guys did not name, Whitney Houston.
Oh, Whitney Houston. Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot. I forget
Yup.
about Whitney.
Damn.
I'm surprised you couldn't come up with that. Also tied with 7 number 1 hits, Phil Collins.
Studio.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Phil Collins' solo work. If you want to
Shout
count
out
in,
studio.
if you want to count Phil Collins' music with the band Genesis, he would have 8 number 1 hits.
Damn. All right.
Okay, now we're going to those tied for 7th place with 5 number 1 hits, George Michael.
George Michael.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to
Did he
include
do
Wham,
a lot of solo work, though? Or are
Yeah.
you including Wham?
I'm not including Wham. If I were to
Oh.
include Wham, he'd also be tied with Phil Collins with 8.
Okay. All right. George Michael. Okay.
Okay, now also tied with George Michael, also having 5 number 1 hits, the man who did the Endless Love duet with Diana Ross, Lionel Richie.
Oh, Lionel.
This was
I
after he
think-
went solo
I
from the
think-
Commodores.
I think I've tried to block that Jerry curl out of my mind. So I somehow blocked him out of my mind completely. Okay.
All right, and then also tied with Lionel Richie and George Michael with 5 number 1 hits, Hall & Oates. Hall & Oates had a lot
Not
of...
familiar with Hall &
Making
Oates.
my dreams come true.
That's who that is?
Hall &
Oh.
Oates. If you heard their music, you would know them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they sing that stupid dream song.
Gotcha.
And then the last artist you failed to name, tied with Bon Jovi and Prince for 4 number 1 top 10 hits, Stevie Wonder.
God damn it, Stevie.
So we're going to take these off from the top. Starting from the top, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Whitney Houston, Phil Collins, George Michael, Lionel Richie, Hall & Oates, Stevie Wonder, Bon Jovi, and Prince. Those were the top 10 artists of the 80s as it proclaims to who had the most number 1 hits.
I fail.
Half those people I didn't really... Well, I listened to them, but I only like 2 or 3 songs out of them. So that's probably why they weren't first out of my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Like, the ones that I name off, I like more than one album from them, so...
Yeah. And while some of these artists may have made a lot of popular pop music, as in popular music, half this list is R&B artists.
Yeah,
Michael
I was
Jackson,
going to say.
Whitney
I've
Houston,
noticed the trend
Lionel
of the
Richie,
majority of
Stevie
them were
Wonder,
R&B.
Prince, and on another note, the same person who made this montage made one of the hits from the 1990s as well. And R&B dominated a lot of Billboard in the 90s.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we're not going to get into that this week.
We'll save that for a later podcast.
Hey,
Next week. On Benwah.
No, next week. No, I'm not working next week, and it's not because, the government shut down.
Right. Ah, nice. Deep cut.
But that's it for this week's edition of The Wabbit Hole. Tune in next time when I don't fucking know what I'm going to have 2 weeks from now.
And now back to your regularly scheduled podcast. And yay, we're back to my favorite segment of the show. I don't know if the sarcasm in what you would call my voice is coming through, because I always sound sarcastic. I have no inflection programming. Spoiler alert, this is going to be dumb.
It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is the show where DJ Melly Mel finds shitty things and we talk about it. If you want your submission on the show, find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host, DJ Melly Mel.
Thank you. All right. So this week's dumb shit item was picked very quickly, and then I stopped because this it's probably the funniest thing I've read on the internet all week. And it's not exactly trending, as in multiple people are doing this or
I would say more so than the weird horse fetish people.
Not as bad.
Okay.
I think that's still the standard, but
I don't know, or weirder than the girl drinking the dog pee.
Oh no.
Yeah, that one.
Nothing.
That one's pretty
Nothing
rough.
comes close to that.
No.
Well, the Fruit Loops might come close to that, but
Fair.
all right. So get out your popcorn, people, because this it's just ridiculous.
You got some tea?
Just ridiculous. Absolutely. All right. According to pinknews.com UK,
Okay.
there is an internet pastor who says, don't masturbate because it's gay sex.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Now, it's not an article that is... not an article that's new. It was published back in April. However, it is now resurfacing the internet.
Oh, shit.
Because of our lovely president's ban on transgenders in the military and all the controversy with Trump and all the everything that's going on.
Sure.
This is making its reappearance.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm getting there.
Well, okay, real quick. I have so many questions. Real quick.
Most of which I'll probably answer.
You say he's an internet pastor?
He is an internet pastor. So he's famous on the internet as being
Does he have an actual, physical brick and mortar church, or does he just, live stream
Well,
his services. Okay.
I
I'll let
think
you. I'll
he
let you
might
do your
just
thing.
kind of live stream, but
Okay.
the man looks like he's in his 60s, and he is wearing that godforsaken red hat.
Oh Lord.
And we all know that red hat that has that lovely saying on it that has failed. Anyways,
Make America gay again.
Right.
Everybody masturbate.
It says, a notorious internet pastor has warned men not to masturbate because it is sex with a man, and that is gay.
Oh, because it's you!
Right.
Oh, wow!
Right.
Wow.
He wasn't talking about jacking off another guy. What were you thinking?
No, he was talking about himself.
I was so
Yourself.
confused. That's what I said. I have so many questions because I was just, what? Okay, go ahead.
High school football coach. So not only is he in our public schools, he's also an internet pastor. We're going to call him Coach Dave. It lists his last name, but that's irrelevant. He has a surreal online following and has made the comments on his Pass the Salt live stream.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but I wonder if you're going to say something that I've already heard about. I'm curious. Because he said more stuff than just don't masturbate because it's gay stuff. He said more things.
But go ahead.
He says, you've got to just say no to it. As hard as it is, if you're very honest about it, masturbation is homosexuality. You're having sex with a man. You're putting images of a woman in your mind, but you're having sex with a man. It's where the devil will take us if we give him free range in our minds.
You know, his definition of sex is very, a
little askew, right?
It's like...
He also continues to add on to this, in completely tangents off, says, our public schools are rife with sexual deviancy. Public schools are cesspools of sin and degenerate behavior. And not from the teacher, of course. No, from the students themselves to one another. And in quotes, he says, get your kids out of public school now. Get your grandkids out of public school now. Do it, and you will never regret it.
Let me guess. He is a high school football coach of a religious school.
I would assume so.
Because I feel
he
like
has another red hat with a cross on it.
Oh my god!
So
he co-opted Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Not only is it bad to masturbate because apparently thinking a hand and I don't know a part of a woman is the same, but whatever. It's also horrible public schooling and our students are drowning in a cesspool of
their own semen, apparently.
Their own semen and sin and degenerate behaviors.
Shit. Oh, man. No, you're right. This was good.
So many things with this guy. First of all, how does...
Tell him, sister. Preach,
how
sister.
Does masturbation
Testify.
even have anything to do with the public school system?
Amen.
Like, if you are publicly... masturbating in public schools, there's an issue.
Amen.
I'm just saying. Now.
Yes, Lord. Tell him, sister. Take your time, baby. Take your time. Turn to that old black woman at church now. like a fan and tambourine and shit.
My hand looks nothing like any other part of somebody else's body.
Well, you do draw some lips on it, maybe.
Yes, I ain't never went through that much detail to get one off there. Just saying. What the fuck is this dude smoking?
The devil's lettuce.
I know, the devil's lettuce.
I'm a firm believer that if you're going to believe in, God, you're going to be spiritual. That's great. I have my own beliefs and where I stand on that.
Sure.
I also have my own firm beliefs that masturbation is very healthy for you.
It is.
Again, if you're masturbating in public high schools, probably not so much, but...
yeah, I see it being a problem.
First of all, it's...
Though, I don't think that's stopping... I promise you there's some kid in the stall right now with his phone rubbing one out in between homeroom.
I'm sure. Or, in homeroom.
Hey, it wouldn't surprise me. So, okay, so...
I don't know.
So, can I just interject here? I understand I don't agree with his logic, but I do understand it.
Okay.
I will say this. There's a workaround for that. And I don't mean a reach around, a workaround, okay?
No wrapping arounds.
If you get a flashlight,
Yep.
then it's not gay.
There you go.
Boom, mic drop.
See? There you go.
Because, see, then your hand is outside the thing that you put your dick in, so now it's not gay no more.
Right.
See, easy fix.
It's just a sandwich.
So it's like, you don't have to stop masturbating, just stop masturbating with your hand.
Yeah.
Easy fix.
Put a sock on it.
Boom.
You'll be all right.
Boom. Hell, I've even heard of people taking fleshlights and putting it between a mattress and a box spring and just fucking the bed. So then, there you go.
Hey, they have the fleshlights that look like the lower half of a woman. Like the body.
Remember the blowjob robot? See? There you go. Boom.
Which they're making those for men now.
Boy,
for women now, I mean.
Yeah. I think you might have sent me an article or something
so.
like that. Yeah, about like they have bionic penises and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And I was like, hey man, do your thing. Like, hey.
But they have fleshlights that
if you'll
look
go
like
to the
a
mall
woman's
with you too,
ass.
you can have them.
They have fleshlights that look like a woman's ass.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
You can just fuck that. You be good.
What did you say it was called? Past Assault?
Yeah, that's
okay.
the name
Okay,
of
I don't
his-
necessarily want to,
That's his-
give him
the name
free
of his live
advertising or
stream.
anything. But I think I need to watch some of his videos because I would just laugh.
I don't know if I could
laugh.
make it through a whole video.
Lord have mercy. Wow.
Public schools are cesspools of sin and degenerate behavior.
Not from the teachers though. Not none of these
No.
teachers who've been fucking
No,
the students. No,
no.
not them. No.
It's the students among themselves.
So what I'm hearing then is just have sex is what I'm hearing
Right.
from this. Just have normal sex.
Right.
Just look, if these kids are going through puberty, they got hormones and shit. Look, you got to release somewhere. Like if I can't jack
Exactly.
off, then I got to do what I got to do. And the Lord wants you to procreate anyway. I mean, I'm sure He's probably pro-life. So what's the problem?
Okay, this may not be the same person that I thought. I remember years ago, I had read a story about a father who refused to let his daughter take part in school sports because he believed that female athletics created lesbianism.
Oh my god.
Led to lesbianism.
That's it.
And he didn't want his daughter to be gay because being gay is a sin.
Oh, no.
For a second, I thought this was the same guy because this dude was quite self-righteous in his reasoning.
Oh my goodness.
I tried to find the article or the name of the guy who I'd read about had said that, but I can't seem to find it.
Yeah, no. I've heard some stupid shit like that. Like, oh, well, you can't do things like boys would do because that's going to make you a lesbian.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's legit.
Whatever.
Masturbation is gay. Sports make you gay. What else makes you gay? So I'm sure it's something else.
Baggy,
Right.
Oh, yeah, baggy
Right.
clothes make you gay.
Yeah.
Focusing on your studies. That
If
was
you like
one-
hot dogs too much,
I'll
you're probably
say,
gay.
focusing on studies is one that I heard to me. So that was...
Wait, what?
I had somebody tell me
So
that...
you got your head in that book because you think it's a pussy, don't you? Like, no.
I had somebody tell me that I focused on my schoolwork way too much, and
focusing on these
I
nuts.
didn't have a boyfriend, so I must be a lesbian.
Or you could want to have good grades? I mean...
I was 14, so...
But that logic makes no sense. It's like, you study too much, so you must be a lesbian. It's like, but I don't have a girlfriend, though. So
Right.
why is that the immediate...
Yeah, there was no addressing of, do you have a girlfriend, or do you have a boyfriend? No, you don't date boys, and you study too much, so therefore you must be a lesbian.
You waiting for
And was this person an adult or a classmate?
An adult.
Oh, it's always an adult.
Oh, okay.
It's always an
well,
adult.
no. I thought maybe this was just some classmate who actually liked you, and because
they
you didn't
were
reciprocate it, he called you a dyke.
An adult in a parental role,
Oh,
if you
God. My cheeks hurt. I laughed too hard at that. Oh, my God. Ooh, he said because it's a man touching his own penis. Oh, my God. So, okay, then.
a man touching a man, yes.
So, I mean, so that goes back to the question, if I'm done pissing on it, how many times
Right,
can
I
shave
know.
before I'm playing with myself?
Right, it's like, so can I not wash my balls and shit when I'm in the shower? If I wipe my ass after I take a shit, is that gay? Like, what? This is a Wabbit hole for your ass right here, literally. So, because I'm like, there are so many things that are wrong with that. Oh, man.
Yep. So that is the dumbest shit that I found for the week.
God, good job. Good job.
All right, to all our listeners of the One Giant Leap for Geeks podcast, let us know, what can people do to make themselves gay?
Right. I'm sure there's probably a whole list of things, because, oh my God.
I think it falls on that same list of, you have gay parents, so you'll be gay.
Oh, you like Fruit Loops and not Cheerios, you must be gay.
Yep.
You watch Square Eye for the Straight Guy? I knew it.
SpongeBob?
Oh,
Yep.
God.
Yep.
Oh.
I heard that one too one year.
You like Batman? Well, you know he gay with Robin, don't you? Like,
Yep.
my
Heard
God.
that one.
Whew. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is my submission for this week. The dumb shit that I have found. As you can see, this is why I stopped early. Early looking.
Yeah,
I found it
look,
late Tuesday night, and that was it. I was done.
That was good.
See, I told you it was going to be dumb. You were warned, humans.
I don't know if it was over this weekend or just over the past week, but Aquaman has officially crossed $1 billion. I even did the
little pinky
pinky
for-
thing.
yep,
no one
yep.
can see that, but whatever.
It's cool. I know.
That being said, hopefully they caught it from my inflection of the voice. Maybe
Right.
they got that. I don't know.
For those of you who don't know, go watch Austin Powers. You'll find out.
Right. I would say watch that 20, probably close to Euro movie. Anyway.
God.
The point is that, yes, Aquaman crossed $1 billion. That being said, because of Aquaman's success, a lot of people are probably like, yes, the DCEU has been saved, and, you know, they're going to keep making movies,
Pump your brakes.
and we're getting
Pump your
Justice
brakes.
League 2. Not quite.
We even have a new name for the Dark Knight movie, Batman, the Batman, whatever the fuck it's going to be called.
What?
I don't know. We just have a new name.
Oh, okay, well.
They said, I saw an article on our way here, that the new flick about Batman is not going to be called The Batman anymore.
Why? That was perfect. Anyway, so I'm getting this from comicbookmovies.com. They said, we've known for a while now that Warner Brothers is moving away from a shared universe, quote unquote, and are instead prioritizing movies that can stand by themselves. That's not a bad thing, but it means the studio is no longer building to future team-ups. News which is bound to disappoint fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its approach to storytelling. Now, this is from the chairman of Warner Brothers, Toby Emmerich. He said, we all feel like we've turned a corner now. We're playing by the DC playbook, which is very different than the Marvel playbook. Shots fired.
Do it backwards and in reverse?
Right. Do it badly? Is that what you're saying?
Shitly and
right.
then
Shitly.
then build up to a good one? Or
We're making a movie shittier, bigger, and shittier. He said, we are far less focused on a shared universe. We take it one movie at a time. Each movie is its own equation and own creative entity. If you had to say one thing about us, it's that it is always has to be about the directors. Now,
sorry.
that would not be the one thing that I would personally say about the DC movies and Warner Brothers, but sure, we'll go with that. Now,
Nah, man, that's gay.
right. now, it has not, the irony has not escaped me that the character that for literally decades has been the butt of like every superhero joke is now the fucking flagship character of the DCEU. Like how did we Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, and the Wonder Woman movie, none of them crossed $1 billion. Y'all let Aquaman get to $1 billion before Batman versus Superman? Like how do you, okay.
2 words. Jason Momoa.
Man, look here.
Well, technically, if you're talking about Batman and DC, this is the third DC film to make $1 billion.
Oh yeah. In their shared universe though, like we're not counting The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
You're not counting like the separate. Okay.
Yeah, no. The Christopher Nolan movies, no, hell no. They had their day. That was over 10 years ago. They
dead to
keep
me.
that shit. Yeah, I know Mel.
But no, I'm gonna have to go with her, Jason Momoa. Who's hot?
Dude is hot.
But still, though, I mean, Henry Cavill is hot. Ben
No, he's
Affleck
not.
has a huge dick. Like, I don't know what the fuck. You could have sold a whole movie on that.
No, they ain't. No, they're not. They're not.
Hey, Ben Affleck's still got some sexiness to him. Henry Cavill, not so much.
Yeah, but he's like mild sauce.
He's like mild sauce.
Yeah, I would agree with
Weak
Ben.
sauce. Weak.
Ben Affleck is the mild sauce compared to Jason Momoa's fire.
Yeah, he was like, the ghost pepper, and Jason Momoa is like sticking your tongue in magma.
right, volcano juice. But
yeah, just.
I mean, look.
Drinking
All that
it.
being said, though,
He got that Aquaman
Slurp it in.
dildo.
you just being hot is not gonna make your movie $1 billion. Because if that was the case, then fucking everything that Halle Berry has ever put out should have made $1 billion. Or that one stupid ass comedy that Kate Upton was in, where she's running in slow motion and her tits are all flopping around and shit, that should have made $1 billion. So we can't just go off of Jason Momoa alone. I'm sure that helped. That didn't hurt it. For sure. And then, speaking of
we'll
older
give some
women
credit
too,
to Amber Heard.
in Hollywood, Nicole Kidman still looks fucking hot too. But all that being said,
Yeah, she does.
No.
oh, see, hate
Get
on Nicole
out.
Kidman.
Get out. Get out. Get out. She's
No.
Australian. She's
Well,
hot.
I don't think that necessarily.
That
equates
accent.
to-
That's nationalist
I
right there.
guess.
That's
But this is my thing, though. DC is still learning all the wrong lessons. Mm-hmm. First, it was, people like shared universes? Let's make a ton of references in Man of Steel to, Wayne and Gotham and all that shit, and shove that into a movie that had nothing to do with anything besides Superman.
Right.
We're going to just keep throwing references of Batman and the other DC characters in there. Then it's like, people thought that Batman vs. Superman was too dark? We'll make Justice League more like the Avengers movies. Oh shit, people didn't like that? Well, people like Aquaman, let's drop the whole shared universe shit and then just make nothing but solo films. It's like, that's not the answer, man. You can make the shared universe work. Clearly, you can make it work. Marvel has 10 years, over 20 movies worth of shared universe shit. It is not that you shouldn't be doing that, because they're trying to go like,
do it right.
Right, they're trying to go, Marvel has their formula and they want to make their own stories and we want to let the directors come in and this, that, and the other. That's how we got Joel Schumacher, okay? Remember that shit. We was all about the directors and shit, and it was like, that's how we got Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I know you like those movies.
But not everybody does.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
There's more people that don't like it.
I would say
than
almost
do.
nobody does.
Exactly. I was gonna say, I think you and Joel Schumacher, and I don't even think he liked that shit.
No.
Look, George Clooney even said, yeah, I fucked up with that shit.
Yeah.
That shit almost killed my career. Like, Val Kilmer was like, I'm not coming back for that shit. He was like, I'll come back for Top Gun 2 before I do another Batman movie. Fuck that.
That killed Val Kilmer's career. He's just like,
No, them fucking Hostess cakes killed Val Kilmer's career.
yeah, man. No, true. Do need some DDP yoga.
Right, yeah. But
He was going to be in the new Top Gun release, but I mean, he was over the weight capacity.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
What kind of yoga?
DDP yoga.
But no,
It's a stupid joke.
The problem is that it's not that they need to focus on the director. They're like, James Wan is a visionary. I'm like, really? The visionary from the Fast and Furious movies and Insidious? Like, I guess? Like, what is the criteria for visionary director now? You made money. The visionary director.
Pretty
like,
much.
I guess. I mean, shit, if that's the case, then we might as well start saying M. Night Shyamalan's a visionary director again. Which, not trying to shit on him, but...
who's the one that did
shit on him.
Cloverfield?
Well, actually, the guy who directed the first Cloverfield, though, he's the one who did the Planet of the Apes movies, and he's doing the new Batman. So I would kind of give him the visionary
the
thing.
second Cloverfield. Who did those two?
Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane is actually pretty good. Now, Paradox, I don't know who did that one, but
Never mind. You've just pulled my whole point.
I know.
apart.
I'm sorry. I killed your joke. I'm sorry. Over-explained it and killed it. I'm sorry. She's like, the one joke I had, and you just fucking took it away from me. Now you know how I feel all the time. I'm like, can I have this?
I know.
But no.
Am I really that bad?
No. A little bit. But no, I think that them focusing too much on the director's vision is what kind of got them into this mess in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, Now, I know that you aren't a fan of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but they are the most popular and critically acclaimed, all this shit. Heath Ledger won an Oscar for that shit.
I know.
So, I mean, you got to give it
basically the amount of love that I have for the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin is the amount of
hate that you have for the Nolan movies.
Pretty much.
Damn.
Pretty much.
Man, Fat Nipples is gay.
But I meant
right, I know,
vice versa. The amount of love that I show for them is the amount of love that people show for the Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
They hate both ways, so.
But the thing is that, you know, like those movies or not, because they gave Christopher Nolan such free reign with the Batman character and let him do what he wanted so much with that universe that he was building with those characters.
Sure.
They had to reboot Batman after that. Like, you can't put Superman in the Dark Knight universe.
Right.
You
no,
can't
he won't fit.
You know, Wonder Woman in the Dark Knight universe. Like, it just don't make... They barely made Catwoman work in that shit, and that ain't even really Catwoman. That's just Anne Hathaway looking sexy in some leather. Don't get me wrong.
Anne Hathaway looks sexy in the leather, but she ain't Catwoman.
That ain't fucking Catwoman.
No,
I'm like,
I know.
She did okay for what he's established.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because honestly... If you really think about it, Two-Face don't even really make sense in the Dark Knight movies.
Not at all.
Like, he sticks out like a sore thumb compared to everybody else. He's the only, like, fantastical, crazy, mutated, kind of fucked up face shit. Like, everybody else is just, like, a dude.
Right.
You know, like they even took Bane's, like, venom powers away and shit. And he's just like, oh, he's just this really yoked up dude on steroids and he got a mask for medicine or some shit. I don't know, because he's in pain all the time. In the comics, Bane is like this big, huge dude because he's got all this crazy shit pumping into him. That's why he wears the mask, not
got
because
the venom.
Right, stop it. I wasn't gonna say it twice. I wasn't gonna say it twice.
You walked
I
into
said it once. I'm like, I'm not saying it again. But because they let him do what he wanted to do, they had to start over again. And what got them into this really big mess that they're in now is because they gave Zack Snyder too much creative freedom. And he fucked up Man of Steel, and he really fucked up Batman Begins. And he fucked up a good chunk of Justice League, too. Joss Whedon came in and fucked it up, too. But he tried to salvage that shit. But then it was like two different movies trying to be mashed together. It was just all bad.
Yeah.
All that being said...
Now we have to revamp Batman again.
Again, right. And now we're just dropping the whole shared universe thing. It's like, and matter of fact, last I saw, they pushed the Flash movie back again.
Yep.
I'm like, that shit ain't even fucking coming out, man. Just be done with this shit. So my thing is, I just hope that one day Warner Brothers will get the courage to try again. Maybe once they get a few more hits under their belt, maybe they get another $1 billion movie, then maybe they'll be like, hey, maybe we should try that shared universe thing again. I'm just worried by the time they try to do it again, the fad will be over, the MCU will kind of has run its course or whatever. Because, I mean, I don't think superhero movies are ever going to go away, but I do think eventually their popularity is going to wane.
Oh, sure.
You know, like nothing can stay on top forever. The bubble's going to burst eventually. But I'm like, I don't see how you make $1 billion with Aquaman and go like, stop the shared universe. We're just going to make Aquaman sequels and Wonder Woman movies because that's the only shit that we know that works. And just keep cranking out Batman movies because Batman is a guaranteed paycheck no matter what. Even though people hated BVS, they went and seen it because fucking Batman is Batman.
I went and seen BVS. I lost sleep over BVS.
Man.
I had to be to work at 5 o'clock the next morning. Or 6. I had to be to work at 6 and we went and saw the midnight release.
I'm telling you, to this day, I was literally shaking with anger when I was watching that movie. I was so hyped for BVS, even though I knew Man of Steel was some bullshit. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance to turn it around. And I was just shaking with anger throughout that whole movie. I was like, why is Batman using, like, guns and, like, shooting grenades at motherfuckers? I mean, I was salty in the Michael Keaton Batman when he got the guns on the thing and he blows up the Ace Chemicals plant. I was like, he killed, like, everybody in there, and I'm going to let this slide because, you know, at that point, they was never doing Batman the right way. But when the Christopher Nolan movies came out, they made it a point. That was what was so cool about his confrontation with the Joker was he was like, you can't stop me because you won't kill me. And that's what made their dichotomy between them so, you know, enthralling because it's like, well, how do you stop somebody who's not afraid to die, but you're not willing to kill them? Like, that's what made that so good. So then when you take that away, it's like, why does Batman have any villains at all? Why would he ever have anybody ever pop up? He should just had killed them in the first movie, dead, and you're done. Like, it shouldn't be no Arkham Asylum, none of that shit. He just kills everybody. So it's like, I don't get it. But then he goes to Lex Luthor in the jail, and he's like, I'll burn you with this thing if you don't act right. And I'm like, but you killed all the henchmen coming into the jail to get to this motherfucker. But when you get to him, it's like, you better quit, or I'm going to beat you up, Mark Zuckerberg. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I mean, congratulations, Jason Momoa. Hey, you got $1 billion movie under your belt. I don't think he has acting range to really do a whole lot of anything else. So, I mean, hey, keep getting them Aquaman paychecks, do your thing.
Yahoo!
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, man. Even he was in that Conan movie, and that was whack as shit, too. You ain't even see that shit.
I did.
See?
We
Jason
did.
Momoa was in that, and that ain't making nowhere near no fucking $1 billion. Well, ain't nobody give a fuck about Jason Momoa.
That was horrible.
It was a bad movie, and he's not that good of an actor. I'm sorry, it's true.
He's just hot. I already explained this.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I was gonna say, he ain't no fine wine Keanu Reeves hot, but, you know, he alright. He got muscles.
He will be, though. Those Samoans don't age, man.
Yeah, I would say The Rock still look good. Like, I think The Rock look better now than he did back in the 90s and early 2000s.
He does.
And shit.
Rock's another one. If he walked through that door and he said, "Oh, please come here." Yes.
Oh, I would fuck
What
The
can
Rock.
I do
Shit,
for you?
Hell yeah. Or
What
I
can I
guess,
do for you?
I guess to say the other way, The Rock would fuck me because I think he'd overpower me easily. Give me that ass. And I'm like, all right, man, whatever you say, just use the lube. All right, all that being said, though, moving on.
Batman vs. Superman is an underrated masterpiece, and the DC cinematic universe is the height of artistic achievement. I'm sorry, I can't even say that with what you would call a straight face.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the main event. In this corner, we have the man who cannot be harmed by anything besides a bucket of water, and in the other corner, we have the man who has the power of an amalgamation of a bunch of different animals, but can be defeated by a flashlight. I bring you the movie event that has been almost 20 years in the making, Glass. No song this week. Sorry, guys. If anybody was getting used to that, this is what I came up with. I'm sorry. But I got Amber here with me. We're going to do a review on the highly anticipated movie Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly so. I was excited for it. I know you were excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how many people, because like on social media, like there was a lot of people talking about this, which is good because it is M. Night. In these particular films, they're not indie films per se, but they're definitely smaller budget movies and not like a big, Marvel type spectacle thing. So it's good that he was able to get, word of mouth and people talking about it and excited for it, especially for a sequel to a tie-in sequel, I guess, to a movie that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, Glass was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Apparently, he actually produced this movie with his own money. $20 million budget.
Must be nice.
Yeah, well, he got loans and shit. Wasn't like he was just like, here, sign this check, M. Night. No, it wasn't nothing like that. But, he did finance it on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So he has complete directorial, freedom to make whatever decisions he wants with the movie. And I will say up front to start this review that the movie itself has been a little controversial. I've seen arguments one way or another. I actually put out a tweet asking, like, who saw Glass this weekend and what did you think about the movie? And a lot of the comments were positive, but then there were some disparaging ones as well. And it feels like there is this big split. Yeah, don't. Between like the critics and general audiences on the movie. Because I believe in Rotten Tomatoes it has about a 37%.
It was like 33 on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, so in the lower to mid 30s.
Yeah.
And the audience score, which the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is not to be trusted, to be honest. I shouldn't even be using this, but just to explain, the Rotten Tomatoes audience score can't be tracked by who's actually seen the movie, how many times the same person is making new accounts and rating the movie. Mm-hmm. So there's no real way to know. Now, CinemaScore is a different thing where they actually have actual people who actually went and seen the movie, and when they come out, they grade it, on like this card or whatever. And so that's more reliable. So it has a CinemaScore of a B, which I think Split had a B+, and I think Unbreakable had like a C, which I'm like, that's a fucking travesty. But so this is somewhere in the middle as far as audiences goes of the three movies.
On IMDb, it had a 7.2 out of 10.
Again,
and they take they mash all of them into like one. So they take
an audience score or a critic score?
I don't know. They take like all the different outlets, I guess, and mash them together.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like the IMDb score is a lot more forgiving.
I don't care. That's the only one I pay attention to.
Yeah, no one else gives a shit about the IMDb score. But
I do.
But still, all that being said, there's definitely a division between what audiences think of the movie and what critics have said about the movie. Not like critics have just outright bashed the shit out of the movie, but it has more unfavorable than favorable reviews. So that's like the controversy surrounding the movie. And after seeing it, I will say up front, I don't get the critics.
I don't either.
Like I don't get it. And as we get into this, we will explain more. This is going to be a mullet style review, so there's going to be non-spoilers in the front, spoilers at the back. We will give a obvious point where we go into spoiler territory, and this will be time-stamped as well, so if you want to know when we get to spoilers, you can just skip that part, and don't worry about it. If not, you go ahead and listen to the whole thing if you've seen it, whatever. That being said, I'll explain more as we go, but yeah, I don't get it. I didn't love the movie. I think you liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so, because I love Unbreakable and I love Split. And I turned you on to Unbreakable because you had never seen it before. But I didn't love it. I liked it. There were some choices that were made in the movie that I respect, but did not agree with. And if I had have done it, if I had have wrote this movie, I would have done it a little bit differently. But I respect his decisions creatively. Just to set this up a little bit, Glass is a direct sequel to Split and a kind of tangential sequel to Unbreakable as well. We have our returning character, what is his name? Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Yep. Who
has DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. He has about 24 different personalities, 23, I guess 24 would be Kevin himself, but 23 other personalities living inside him, and one of which they call the Horde, and one of which is the Beast, which is his supernatural, superhuman, monster-y form. We also have the returning character of Mr. Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who I forget the name of his condition. It was something like really long,
yeah.
But basically, he has this genetic disorder where his bones break super easy. And then we have David Dunn, who is the protagonist from Unbreakable, who has superhuman strength and is pretty much invulnerable to everything. And his weakness, his kryptonite, I guess, would be water, which, when we get to the spoiler part, we'll talk about, because I didn't really understand how that worked. It was kind of vague in Unbreakable, and I thought I understood it, but in this movie, I was like, okay, so then I don't get how. I was like, all right, but we'll get there. Right off the bat, I do appreciate the fact that all the original cast from both films are back. They brought back Anya Taylor-Joy, who is the surviving girl from the end of Split. Mm-hmm. They even brought back the actor who plays Bruce Willis's son in the original Unbreakable, because there's even a few flashbacks to him when he's a kid. And I was like, wow, that's crazy that they got him to come back and do this. Because as far as I know, he hasn't really been in anything since Unbreakable. Like, I don't even know how M. Night found him again. He was like, hey, you want to be in a movie again? Like, I guess, sure.
Isn't that the kid from...
No. No, he's not been in anything else. No. Trust me, I've already went through this. No. No. He was only in Unbreakable and maybe one or two other smaller films that you've probably never seen before. So don't worry. That he's not. He looks similar to some other actors, but no, he's not been in anything else. That being said, They even got back the woman who plays Samuel L. Jackson's mother, which the makeup effects that they use on her to make her look older are really, really bad. Like, really bad. Because the woman in real life, because for those that don't know, Samuel L. Jackson is 70 years old. And the woman who plays his mother in the flashbacks and all that stuff, she is actually, I think, younger than Sam Jackson is now in real life. So they had to, like, prosthetic her to make her look older than him. And it looks bad. Like, it looks like putty on her face. Like, it is really rough. And I was just like, y'all could have spent maybe $25 million and CG'd her to make her look older. Cause I was just like, God damn, man. Like, it was bad. Like, anytime she was on the screen, I was really distracted by it. Like, not to the point where it took me out of the movie completely.
I didn't even notice.
But it was bad. I do like the use of colors in this. And pretty much like all the cinematography in this was really good. I thought that the movie was shot well. There was some cool angles and stuff like that. There's a scene where the son is leaving the psychiatric hospital after his dad gets captured, and he is like walking out, and like the camera's like over the building, and it's like following him upside down. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of cool camera shots and angles. Even the scene where they have all three of them together. It's a scene from the trailer too, and she's talking to all three of them sitting in the room. And when she finally speaks to Sam Jackson's character, because he is pretty much drugged up to a comatose state, he's kind of like got this weird lean with his head, and the camera's like cocked that way when it shows from his point of view angle, the way he's looking at her. And I just thought some of that stuff was really cool. Now, the soundtrack was also actually pretty good. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. There were a lot of themes and stuff that played throughout where I was like, wow, like, I've never really paid that much attention to the music in any of M. Night's movies before, but I was like, I actually like the soundtrack to this. It was moody and gave a nice vibe to the scenes, and when there was something that was important happening, it really kind of brought attention to itself, just enough to where you noticed the music, but not enough to where it was distracting from the scene itself. Now, for like the way the story is set up, the first act of the movie, it sets a great tone. It's very suspenseful. You don't really know what's going to happen, and we're building to this crescendo in that first act where David and Kevin are going to confront each other for the first time in the movie, and you know that there's going to be a big blowout fight that comes from this. They ramp it up a whole lot in the beginning, and then it shifts gears in the second act, and it slows down a lot. Like, a lot. Now, going off that, did you feel that the movie was too slow? Were you kind of upset that they kind of like hit the brakes on everything once they get to the hospital? Because all the stuff that they were doing in the beginning, it was like this forward momentum, and then it just stops.
No, I have a problem with it.
I didn't either. I mean, again, I would have done it a little bit differently. I maybe, and I get it, because if you change that, it kind of changes what the story's supposed to be about. But I felt like we might have spent too much time with them in the hospital.
No, I think you kind of needed to.
Well, like, explain. How do you mean?
Well, without giving anything away, you kind of needed to see everything from, like, how... I liked how they showed each of the characters interacting with each of the people that worked at the hospital.
Okay.
I liked how Sarah Paulson's character came in and she did all the testing. So
I thought that was kind of cool too. Of all the things, because the movie tries to, I think, make it a point to not be too... It tries to have these comic book elements, but then still try to set them in a realistic world. But the whole setup in the hospital was very, like, comic book. It reminded me of, like, stories where it's like, oh, kind of like... It reminded me a little bit of The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know how, like, when they catch people, when they have the special room that they put them in when they're captured, and like each character had their own special room where it was set up to where it was
rigged to
control
them.
Exactly, to where it suppressed them and their specific abilities, which by the time you get to the end, you know, it kind of takes away the whole thing of like, well, you know, this is all just bullshit in your head, this, that, and the other, but we're going to put this shit in here just in case. You know, and it's like, well, okay, but we'll get there. From people who are complaining about the movie not being enough action or not having enough forward momentum, I've heard a few people echo this statement or say this, and I'll echo it as well. I feel like they didn't watch the first two movies.
Yeah.
Because Unbreakable is really slow. Like, really slow. It's a character study. It's not a superhero movie per se. And honestly, it's not until the very end, and the whole twist is that he is a superhero. Now, there's two twists in that movie. The first twist is, yes, he is a superhero, and yes, he realizes that, but he's kind of suppressed it in his mind because he doesn't want to accept that part of himself. And then the other twist is that Mr. Glass is the one who have been creating all these disasters and stuff and killing all these people, trying to find someone who would rise above that and be like, oh, okay, he's the one with the powers and stuff. And in Split, the twist it was two twists in that movie as well, where, like, you know, the first is, yes, Kevin really can change into this beast-like man monster kind of thing and climb walls and, you know, be shot with guns and still keep coming and bend steel and all this other crazy shit. And then the second twist is that it is in the same universe as Unbreakable, and these characters are connected, and there would be more stories with them. So, yeah, like both of those movies, it's a lot of dialogue. It's really toned down. There's not a lot of fighting. There's no car chases and all this other kind of crazy shit. And most of the action doesn't happen until the tail end, like the last 15 minutes or so of the movie.
Yeah.
And this is basically like that as well. There is a fight scene within the first act, the first 15, 20 minutes or so, but then there's nothing in between until you get to the very end. And I feel that people coming into this movie may have expected something different. Like, I don't know if they thought, okay, well, since this is the third movie and ending the trilogy or whatever, like, there's going to be just David and Kevin just punching each other through walls and shit. It was going to turn into Man of Steel at the end or some shit. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was never going to be that.
No.
So if that's what you went in expecting, I could see how you would be disappointed. But I think if you went in with the right expectations, then you kind of knew this is how these movies have played out so far, and they're not going to deviate too much from that. Now I did talk about how I did like some of the shot choices and the use of color and stuff like that, but I do think that some of the shot decisions in this bother me a little bit, especially during the first fight in the beginning. There's this like weird camera angle that he does where the Beast is trying to do that like bear hug thing to David that when he like breaks people's backs and shit. And the camera's like right under Bruce Willis's face, and you can like see Kevin behind him like trying to squeeze him and shit, and they're like wriggling around. And I was like, it was just a weird choice. It was like, why are you shooting this like this? And I get it, like M. Night, even in Unbreakable, he never, even when you see him fight the guy who had kidnapped those girls or whatever, and he falls into the pool and all that stuff, like the way it's shot is much better in that movie, but it's not shot like a fight scene in an action movie. So I get it. He was never going to make it be this like, you know, bunch of jump cuts and, you know, wide angles and stuff like that. But just some of the shot choices kind of bother me because I was like, I can't really tell what's happening right now. I know what's happening because I've seen the other movies, but if this is my first time being exposed to these characters, like, I don't know what he's doing to him right now because the camera's like under his nose and I'm like, why? So yeah, so some of that stuff bothered me a little bit. I will say though that James McAvoy is probably the best part of the movie. Like, he is great again as Kevin. He seamlessly goes in and out of each personality. There's actually a few scenes where he has to jump between personalities like really quick.
Oh yeah, he did like probably half of them in one scene.
Oh yeah, it was like a maybe a 5-minute scene, and he just goes like through each personality, and it's so convincing.
Oh yeah.
Like the way his mannerisms change, how he holds his body, you know, his accent changes, the tone of his voice, his facial expressions, like each character is so distinctly different from the last, and he's just able to just turn it off and on, off and on, off and on. And it was just incredible to watch. Like, honestly, I feel that he should have, if not won some kind of award for Split, been at least nominated for something.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with this. I mean, regardless of how people felt about the movie, he is really, really remarkable. Like, I've heard some people say that they thought that he was kind of hamming it up a little bit and being a bit too much, but I'm just like, well, that's what he was in the first movie.
I was going to say, yeah. It was exactly like the first movie.
Yeah. I will say I didn't like the fact, though, that Hedwig was, like, kind of... They focused on him a lot in this one.
I like Hedwig.
I do, too, but in small doses. Because I think the charm of Split was you didn't see Hedwig that much, but when he did pop up, it was kind of like that, oh, okay, I can reason with him, and this personality, you can grow to like him as a character. But when you spend the majority of the movie with Hedwig, it's like, okay, man, like, my favorite of all the personalities was Patricia. Because I really liked the whole, like, stuffy, older British woman. It's like, now stop, turn the light off now, darling. You know, that, like I thought that was really cool. And she was my favorite of all the personalities. I mean, outside of the Beast and Hedwig, but I don't know. I think a little bit less Hedwig, a little bit more Patricia, I would have been happy with. Because I think one of the best interactions in the movie is between Patricia and Mr. Glass when they're talking to each other. And she's like, well, you know, like, what if he can't do this stuff that you think he can do, this, that, and the other? Like, I thought that interaction between them two was really good.
Yeah.
And then when Patricia talks to the guard who's doing the lights and shit, I thought that was a good, you know, back and forth. Hedwig, I will say he does have some pretty funny parts, though.
I was going to say, he's there for the
comic relief.
Yeah.
No, Hedwig is funny, and he can be sweet, and he can be kind of creepy as well. But, yeah. I did, though, as well as James McAvoy, think that Sam Jackson is great as well, and I don't think that him nor Bruce Willis got enough to do in the movie.
No, like you said the other night, James McAvoy, it was like his movie.
Right, it was just like, it was Split 2, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like it was an actual sequel to Unbreakable, because this isn't really a spoiler, but just to let you know, you don't even see Sam Jackson talk until 2/3 into the movie.
Yeah, it's the last half of it. Or
Yeah,
not
the last
half.
third. Yeah. Like he doesn't even show up until like about more than halfway through the second act, like the very beginning of the third act is when his character actually kicks in and has something to actually do. And that bothered me quite a bit because I was just like, the movie is called Glass and he's barely in this shit. Like, you don't even see him until they show up at the hospital. And even then, they got him so doped up on medicine and shit, he don't even fucking talk. So it's like, I would have done that differently personally, but I mean, hey. Again, I respect his choices. I don't necessarily agree with them. That being said, though, some people have complained about Bruce Willis's performance. I don't think he's sleepwalking in this, but his performance is very subdued. I think in Unbreakable, his character, David Dunn, the whole point of why he was so kind of pulled back and just didn't really want to fuck with people like that and stuff like that was because he was depressed and because he didn't accept his powers and his role in the world. And until he did that, he couldn't be happy because that was one of the subplots of that movie was him and his wife were like on the edge of a divorce because like they didn't, you know, really talk to each other that much. And he was just always unhappy and he couldn't figure out what the hole in his life was and what he was missing until he accepted that he was a superhero and then went out and started doing that. And then he found a purpose for himself. And by the end, you can tell his character has changed some and he doesn't seem so sad anymore. That being said, in this movie, at the beginning, when he's having the interactions with his son at the, security
surveillance
store or whatever. Yeah, surveillance store. You know, he seems like they have a good little back and forth. They crack a couple jokes with each other. You know, his son, I thought it was a cool idea that they made him kind of the Cisco or the oracle of this, universe where it's like he does all the computer stuff and helps his dad on the sidelines to go out and do the superhero shit. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like his Robin almost. I was like, that's cool. But once he goes to the hospital, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what the point was, but I don't feel like they explained it if that is the case. Maybe once he couldn't do the thing that he had been doing these last 19 years, he kind of went back into his introvert mode and didn't really talk and just kind of, because there's even a part where he's sitting there and he's staring at the wall in his cell and shit, and I'm just like, why are you being like this? It was just so, oh, well, I guess. But I still think he gave a good performance, though. I don't think he sleptwalked through this. Like,
No.
I think he actually showed up to work and just wasn't there to collect a paycheck. Because, I mean, like I said, this movie was made for $20 million, so nobody got no fat check making this movie by no means. Like I said, some of the dialogue choices, I think, were a bit preachy. There's a scene, and I missed a little chunk of it because I had to go to the bathroom, but it's the scene where Sarah Paulson's talking to all three characters when they're in that room together, and she's kind of breaking down what she believes their illnesses are and what she believes the explanation for why they think they have powers and how this, like, their origin and how they got to be where they are now. And it just, I don't know, like that scene went a little too long for me, and just, I don't know, like, it felt very preachy. And then throughout the movie, I think all the characters, except David and maybe Kevin. Now, Mr. Glass, you expect it from, because that was his whole shtick in Unbreakable was, he was trying to explain how, comic books are like a alternate telling of historical things that actually happened, but they're just exaggerated because it's in a comic book, but these are based in reality of some kind, and yada, 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 and these are our myths and whatever that we've kind of twisted and turned it into something else for entertainment, but it is based in some kind of truth.
Mm-hmm.
I expect that from him, but then his mom was doing it, and she's like, oh, and then the climactic battle at the end, and this, that, and the other, and it's just like, and then Anya Taylor-Joy's character's doing it, and she's like, well, did you know that Superman originally couldn't fly, and yada, yada, and Metropolis is New York, and yada, 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 and it's like, everybody seems to, it was like M. Night forgot who he was writing for, and he made everybody have the same voice as Mr. Glass, and I was like, I don't need everybody to be speaking on these, comic book tropes and this, that, and the other. I was like, one character is good enough for that. You don't need everybody to be doing this weird thing with the comics and all that. I mean, so much so, I could maybe accept David's son doing it because, he was a child and he knows that his father is a superhero. He even goes to the comic book shop and he's like looking up stuff, and then he goes and pontificates about comic book characters and yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, okay, all right, enough. Like, stop, guys. I will say that overall, because it's really hard to talk about this without spoiling it, but I will say, though, that overall, I did enjoy the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. By the end, I see what he was going for, but I don't necessarily think that's not what I would have done. But I get it. But at the same time, and once we get into spoilers, I can explain better. This movie is like the show Heroes. There's a lot of stuff that they do in this movie that they did throughout the 4 seasons of the Heroes TV show. I mean, all the way down to character motivations, different groups that are, doing things, how people interact with their powers and accepting them and exposing stuff to other people. And there's a lot of stuff in this where I'm just like, man, like, did he binge watch the 4 seasons of Heroes and was like, I got it. I'm writing Glass right now. I was like, there's a lot of stuff in here that seems very familiar, especially if you watch that show. That being said, though, I will say this about it. If you haven't seen the movie yet, definitely watch Unbreakable and Split first, because there's a lot of references to both those movies, and I think that if you don't know the story well enough, you won't get the same thing from it, because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to miss. But don't go into this with expectations of it being this big, bombastic, in-your-face superhero blockbuster, because it's not that. Like Amber said, it's definitely not going to be that at all.
No.
But if you've seen the first two films, I think you know what to expect, and you're going to get more of the same. If you've seen Split and you've seen Unbreakable, it is a sequel to those movies, and it is going to have the same tone as those movies. Yes, there's some things that are ratcheted up a little bit in this one, more so than the other two movies, but not by much. The ending is the most spectacular thing in the movie, and even that is very toned down, and it's trying to subvert your expectations. And I can see how audiences may be disappointed by that, because I was disappointed by that, because there's some stuff that they keep teasing throughout the movie, like, oh, we're going to do this thing at this place, and it's going to be this big thing, and then by the time you get to the end, they're like, well, maybe we won't actually do that. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, because I'm like, well, why keep teasing this if you're not going to do that? Now, it does tie into the twist at the end about why it doesn't happen, but I was just like, you could have did the same effect, or got the same effect without doing that, I think. But, that being said, it was a good movie. I think it was worth the seeing it in the theaters, and it's worth your time. Only if you don't go into it expecting it to be something it's not, because it's definitely not going to be X-Men or the Avengers or some shit like that. And if that's what you're wanting out of this, you're not going to be happy. But that being said, we will get to our rating so we can go to spoilers. So how our ratings go is they are a 5-tier system. It goes really fucking liked it, meh, hated it, and really fucking hated it. So for Glass, what would you give as your rating?
I really fucking liked it.
I thought you'd say that.
Just because I was really obsessed. I really liked Unbreakable when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Split came out, I was pretty much obsessed with that. I liked everything about that movie. So I was really geeked for this one. And I just kind of tuned out the whole world to what everyone was saying about it and just went in with my own expectations.
Yeah. And I said the same thing. Like, we aren't going to let the Rotten Tomatoes score influence how we felt about the movie. And even once it ended, the first thing I said was, I don't get why the Rotten Tomatoes score is so low. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
But no, I really enjoyed this one.
Okay, so really fucking liked it?
Yeah.
Okay. I will say I liked it. I don't know what the movie could have done to make me get to a really fucking liked it, but from what it did do, I was disappointed in some parts. I did feel it was a little bit preachy. It shifted gears pretty hardcore in the middle, and it doesn't really pick up steam again until, like, the very end. All that being said, though, I think it's an enjoyable movie, and I don't understand the hate for it. That being said, though, now that we've gotten our review out of the way, we're going to go into spoilers. So, again, if you haven't seen the movie, I would say back out now. If you have seen it, stay right where you are. If you don't care, do whatever you want to do. But we are going into spoilers, so insert siren sound here. Okay, so, spoiler time. Now, right off the bat, you said that you really fucking liked it. I think the biggest thing that kept me from getting to that place, because I said I don't know what they could have done differently, but I'll tell you one thing. The fact that they kill all three characters by the end kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a little bit of a slap in the face. Like, I get why he did it, because of the whole organization shit, but I was like, really, though? But that didn't seem to bother you, though.
No.
So
I feel
why?
like they wrapped it up and everything. They tied it into a nice little package.
Okay, so tell me, okay, for an example, tell me what's your favorite, okay, of all the Marvel superheroes, who's your favorite?
Probably Thor. I like the Thor movies.
Okay. If they killed Thor by drowning him in a puddle of water, you wouldn't be pissed off by the end of that?
I probably would be.
Okay. Because the fact that the way that they killed David is bullshit. Like, I don't understand.
I didn't understand why they killed him like that, but I do.
Well, no. I understand why. It was because, and she explains it to him.
Well, yeah.
You know, because her whole thing, Sarah Paulson's character, her whole thing was she was trying to convince them that they didn't actually have powers.
Yeah.
And if she could succeed in doing that, then they could live. Because her whole organization, it was, I don't know, like the Black Clover people, who fucking knows? They never give them a name, but they all have these little 3-leaf clover tattoos on their wrists and shit. And it was her whole thing was to convince these people that they didn't have powers, and if they couldn't do that, they would lobotomize them so they couldn't use their powers and or just outright kill them.
Yeah.
Because she says that we can't have gods living among us. Like, it's just not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that initially they knew about David, but they weren't going to do anything because it was just him.
Mm-hmm.
But then once Kevin pops up, it's like, okay, we can't have a bunch of these motherfuckers popping up all over the place. We got to shut all this shit down.
Yeah.
And she even says to him that she was going to let him go because she almost had, of all three of them, she almost had him convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Kevin, he's just so fucked up. Like, he's a lost cause. Like, there was no fixing that. And Elijah is too smart. Like, he's like, I'm not stupid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what the fuck is going on, and you ain't finna convince me of shit. So that's why they just kept him doped up, because they was like, look, we can't do shit with this motherfucker. He too smart.
Or tried to keep him doped up.
Right. And they was like, that's why they wanted to lobotomize him, because they're like, we ain't finna take no more chances with his ass. Just do this shit. Which, that was one thing that bothered me, because I was like, well, why are you just now doing this now?
Yeah,
like,
he's lived his life this long and lived in this hospital.
Right, they've had him in this hospital for almost 20 years, and it's like, you're telling me that y'all just now want to lobotomize him? They said that he's gotten out before and done all kind of crazy shit, and it's like, well, why wouldn't y'all lobotomize him way back then? Why wait?
Because Sarah Paulson showed up.
I guess. But this is the thing that I was talking about with the water, like, that I didn't understand. In Unbreakable, it comes across like he is invulnerable to everything except water. Like, so he can still drown. If you were to waterboard him, it would affect him. But if you was to set him on fire or throw him out a window or some shit, he'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a scene towards the beginning where him and the Beast fight, and they showed in the trailer where they fall out that window. They fall a few stories down to the ground, and they get up like, it's all good. Like, we finna keep fighting and shit. But my understanding of it was that he could be killed by water, not like, if you splash some water on this motherfucker, and he can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was literally like kryptonite to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, so does David not take showers or a bath? I'm like, so what, every time he take a shower, his son's gotta help his crippled ass walk out and dry him off and shit so he can get his strength back? Cause it was to the point where, like, he couldn't even stand because he was in the water. Now, I get it. If you say, like, water can kill him, not so much water is his actual weakness. Which I guess it makes sense why he wears the rain poncho, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm like, what kind of superhero are we making here where it's like, I can just take glass water and splash it in your face and then run away because you can't chase me because I don't have the water. Like, what is he, the Wicked Witch of the West or some shit? Like, what, I'm melting and shit? So that threw me off because I was like, wait a minute. So because he was in the water, I figured like, oh, he was drowning, but I figured once he got the water out of his lungs and all that shit, he'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was like because he got submerged, like he just couldn't even move. Like just some random dudes just hold him down. Well, first they pick him up, they drag him over to the puddle, and then they drown him in it. And I'm just like, oh, like he can't do shit because he's wet. I'm like, that's not how I perceived it in Unbreakable. Because I mean, is that what you got from it?
No, not really.
Yeah, I was just like, okay. And they just kill him just so unceremoniously, and he's so underused in the movie that when they kill him off, I was like, I felt like, why even make a sequel to Unbreakable if you're barely going to use the main character from that movie and then you just kill him off like, oh, just some random faceless goons kill him. I would have liked it better if he had died in the tank with the beast.
Yeah.
And then the girl finds the beast, gets him to calm down, has Kevin come out, and then he gets killed. That way. As opposed to just some random people. Like, you literally don't even see their face.
No.
Like, you just see their hands pick
uniform.
them up. Yeah, and they drown them. Like, you don't even see who they are. Not like it would have been important to see it. But I was like, really? Like, just the help kills them? Like, are you fucking for real? Like, that left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, a real bad taste in my mouth. But like I said, though, by the end of this movie, I realized that M. Night Shyamalan is a really big fan of the show Heroes. Like, down to the organization, because they got the Black Clover people. In Heroes, there was this organization that did the exact same thing. They documented people with superpowers. They would go and try to either convince them that they didn't have powers, or try and take their powers away, or if need be, they were too dangerous, they would kill them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what their goal was. How they treat the powers in this movie is a lot like they did in Heroes, where a lot of people were not accepting of their abilities. Even though they knew they could do it, they were in denial about it and pretended that it didn't happen. It's in how people react to them. I mean, the season finale of season 4 was one of the main characters jumping. It was a cheerleader. Her name was Claire, and she could heal for minutes. She was like Wolverine pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes up to this high tower and like jumps off in front of all these like media cameras and shit, and like dies, and then like gets back up, and she's snapping her bones back in place and twisting her neck back straight, and she heals. And that's like the finale of that season. Now, unfortunately, they canceled the show, so you don't see anything else past that. But that's basically how this ends, with the whole world seeing their abilities and them being exposed, so other people can know that superheroes and villains exist, and other people will come forward, and this will be their origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Because Elijah says at some point, when his mother's talking to him, she was like, well, this was the epic climax. Like, how did you not know how it was going to end? And he was like, or no, this is a limited edition. And how did you not know that this was how it was going to end? And he was like, no. He was like, this is an origin story, not referring to the 3 main characters, but referring to the other people who will now discover their powers and come forward in movies that we're never going to see. Cause I'm pretty sure he's not making another one after this. I did like the way that they set up the kind of Legion of Doom people or whatever. Like, I thought that was a cool idea, but it kind of came out of nowhere. Because, again, going back to Elijah, he has killed hundreds, if not thousands of people trying to get to David and discover him. And you come to find out that he also is the reason that Kevin's father is killed, because they were both on that train together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the inciting incident that created Kevin's beast character, personality. But if this organization, because I think she says 10,000 years that they've been doing that shit. Not that group specifically, but
it was something like that.
Other people in this organization throughout time have been doing this. And it's like, why would y'all even risk Elijah doing anything past that? Like, y'all should have just lobotomized him years ago.
Yeah.
And if they're that good at it, because that's the whole explanation behind, well, why, if these other people did exist, why don't we see people with powers now? It's because of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he kind of explains that, which is fine. But I felt like, well, if that's your whole goal in life, and there's just this big organization with all these people who were involved. I mean, down to like the bartender and the waiters were in on it and shit. Because every time they would show them, they show them twice in the movie, and every time they would show them, it would just, they'd be like in a restaurant or a bar or something. And then like when 1 or 2 people would leave who I guess weren't in on it, like the whole room would go silent, and they'd be like, yes, we are ready, you know, like we can proceed with the plans and kill them all and all this other like muhaha shit. And I was just like, the waiter and the dude who opens the door, like the concierge, he's part of the group too, because they all had the little tattoo and they was all like just staring and shit. And I'm like, I guess, I don't know. I'm like, are these people, do he actually work at this restaurant, or is he posing as the bartender, or are your standards just so low to where it's like, we just need members, man, whatever. Like, what do you do? Like, you serve drinks, come on, you can be part of the Illuminati or whatever the fuck we're calling them in this too. But like I said, I did like what their purpose was that they served. I just don't necessarily feel like we had enough from them, I guess. Because I think maybe that twist should have came maybe 2/3 of the way through the movie and not at the very, very end.
Yeah, like they needed a little more explanation.
Yeah, because I was just like, y'all could have did more with that. If this is what you're going for, you could have did more with that. Or if I thought that there would be another movie after this, I'd be like, oh, okay, they're setting them up.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be in the next movie and they're going to be going after these people and trying to stop the heroes and stuff from coming out, but that's not going to happen. So it's like, well, you didn't have to save it to the very end. That twist could have came earlier in the movie. One of the things that, and I know I sound like I'm dogging on the movie, I did like it, but these are the things that bother me in it. I'm just being honest. I didn't like the fact that's why I said I felt like we spent too much time with Sarah Paulson's character trying to convince them that they didn't have powers. We've already seen Unbreakable and Split. We know, the audience, we know that they have powers. You're wasting time trying to go like, well, do you really though, Kevin? Like, David, are you sure that you tore that door off that car and saved your wife's life and that's why you pretended to be hurt in a car accident and stopped being a football player? Are you sure that your son watched you bench press all these fucking weights with like paint cans hanging out the side and all this other crazy shit? Are you sure that you have been going around for the last 20 years fighting crime as a superhero? Like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you're not just crazy? Like, you hit your head in a train accident and you just think you've been doing this shit this whole time? Like, no, I'm pretty damn certain that we saw him do all this shit. We saw Kevin climb fucking walls like he was Spider-Man and shit, and bend bars and get shot with a shotgun.
She's like, well, the bars were old, and the shotgun was old.
Right! And I'm just like, okay, I don't give a fuck how old the bars were. I can't bend wood half the time, let alone fucking or plastic or some shit. Let
alone steel.
Right, that's why I was just like, man, you are spending a lot of time trying to, and I guess he felt he had to pour it on thick, so when the twist comes, you're like, oh, they did have power, and it's like, well, yeah, we knew that. Like, the moment Sam Jackson gets out and goes into Kevin's room and the Beast comes out, he's crawling up the walls and shit again. And this is like, so what? Well, the walls were old.
There was glue on them.
Right. New wallpaper. It was still sticky. The paint hadn't dried yet. Like, come on, man.
He had tape on his hands.
That's the thing that pissed me off, because I was just like, we know that they have powers. And that's why I was starting to not trust her character, because I'm like, you are trying to explain this shit away too hard. Like, I get what in the story it should have been. Like, okay, if someone who just adamantly just does not believe in this shit, they're going to be trying to find a way to explain it away. But I'm just like, we as the audience know that this is real. And you're spending half the movie trying to tell us it's not. And so when the twist is like, it was real and she was just fucking with him, I'm like, I know that, like, you didn't convince me of anything in the first place. There was no point where I ever was like, well, maybe they didn't have powers. I'm like, yes, I saw the other two movies. So that is what I meant by how they spent too much time with the therapist and all that shit, because I was just like, this is stupid. Like, why are you still talking about this? I know by the end they're going to be fighting and throwing each other halfway across the parking lot and all that crazy shit. I was a bit disappointed that they don't go through with the promise of the tower. That's what I was talking about when I said that they tease this thing throughout the movie, because they keep making references to this Osaka Tower or some shit, I think it was called. It was this new building that was going up in Philadelphia.
Wasn't it like the tallest building?
Yeah, or something like that. And there was some kind of chemical lab there, and Elijah was going to blow it up or whatever, and he was going to, and that was a catalyst to try and convince David to come stop them so they could fight, and people would see it at its grand opening. And I was like, oh, that would be cool. we don't ever leave the parking lot. It never gets that far.
But you got to remember that $20 million budget.
True, but then again, like I said, it ties into the twist.
Yeah.
Because the twist was Elijah never even planned on making it there.
No.
He hacked into the security system because Sarah Paulson's character, Dr. Ellie Staple or something like that, she installs like 100 cameras, she says, in and around the grounds of the hospital to watch just for Elijah because they just know he up to some shit. And, oh, speaking of which, sidebar, that's what my point was to when she's like, well, I don't believe you have powers or anything, but I'm going to put this intricate web of hoses and water in your room to make sure you can't use your powers, and I'm going to set up this light thing to keep you from turning into the beast and keep your other personalities at bay. And it's like, well, if you don't believe none of this shit is real,
then why do you have that?
Why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you... Okay, because she said, well, you believe that your weakness is water, so that's why I did this. It was like, well, if you know that he don't really have powers, just have the guards come here and beat the shit out of him. Like, you don't need, this, to spend all this money on this other shit if you know that, he has no powers. That's why I kept going like, is something up with this chick? Because I was like, this don't make sense. It would be like saying to someone, I know that you're not a dangerous person, but I'm going to keep this gun in my lap just in case. like, well, if you know everything's fine, then why are you doing this? Like, that was kind of pointless. But, so they have all the cameras set up for Elijah to keep a watch on him. And that scene was hilarious, though, when he wants them to know that he got out, and he's, like, spinning the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, going in circles.
That was hilarious. He's, like, waving at it and shit. I laughed hard as hell at that. But he does they do all that, and he hacks into the camera system. Now, when it's happening in the movie, you just know he's hacking some shit, but I didn't know what.
No, not until the end.
I was just like, okay, this is just part of his plan to escape or whatever. But his plan the whole time, because he had caught on and knew that she was on some bullshit. And his plan was, I'm going to have them have this confrontation. I'm going to put up this fake MacGuffin of we're going to go to this tower, even though I have no intention of actually going there. And I'm just going to have the cameras here at the hospital record David and Kevin fight. And then broadcast that to the rest of the world so they can see it too. Mm-hmm. So she says that, it was a suicide mission. Like, he knew they weren't going to get out of there.
No.
Like, that she was going to do whatever it took to kill them and shut that shit down.
They could have easily gotten away.
Right. That being said, though, the only thing that stopped their plan was because David's son figured out that Elijah was the one who killed Kevin's father. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if he had never told him that, the beast would have probably killed David and got Elijah, and they'd have got the fuck out of there and been gone. So
it took the cops a while to get there.
And even when they did, they overpowered him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, David locks them in this shipping container and bends a bar and keeps them in there, and the beast just kills the motherfucker. So I'm just like, there was nothing to stop them from getting away. The only reason David gets killed by the end is because the beast weakens him by throwing him into the water tank. And the only reason the beast dies is because the girl was there and got him to calm down. It was like, he was like the Incredible Hulk, pretty much, to where he turned back into Bruce Banner and then they shot him and he died. But if they'd have shot him while he was still in beast form, theoretically, he'd have been fine.
Yeah.
And the only reason Elijah dies is because David's son exposes what he did. So it was kind of like, if these specific events that he could have not have planned for had not have happened, they would have got away.
Yeah.
Like, I that's why I was like, I don't get why she said, it was a suicide mission. I was like, I honestly think that he just got fucked up by accident. Because he even says, like, no, don't tell him yet. Like, what the fuck? Like, because when there's the scene where Sam Jackson's going through Kevin's files and he's reading shit about his condition and his disorder or whatever, and he sees his parents' names, and then he's like, and he like puts his hands over his mouth. I think it was that moment that he realized, oh shit, I killed your dad.
Yeah.
Because he knew the manifest of the plane and the trains and all the shit that he had did where all those people died, because he was trying to see would one of these people come out as a hero or whatever, or survive this. So he knew that he was the one that had did that. And to be honest, he could have probably told Kevin, and if it came from him and he'd have told him when he was still trying to convince him to help him, been like, hey, I helped you develop this power and yada, yada, yada. He could have finessed that shit to where...
Oh, yeah, he was smart enough.
Yeah, he could have worked it out in his favor. Because, I mean, the fact that he convinced the Beaches not to outright kill him when he first comes out in the first place was like, hey, good job. Everybody else, he was just like, you got to die. So, yeah, that kind of threw me off. But this is my thing. And just tell me if I'm wrong. With everything that we see on the internet and YouTube and shit like that today, this movie would have made sense if it had came out right after Unbreakable like 20 years ago. Because do you think that just showing what happened in that footage online and on news and stuff, do you think that would really have convinced the world that heroes were real?
No.
Because I'm like, I could immediately, and this is going to get kind of dark, and I don't mean to upset anybody when I start talking about this, but this is just to make a point from the movie. Remember how people were saying, oh, that elementary school shooting wasn't real, and the Parkland shooting, these kids were actors and shit, and they didn't believe it, and yada, 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 and nobody died, and it was all a government plan, and some such bullshit, a distraction from whatever. I could easily see those same people saying this about what happened at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
They could have been like, oh, this is all special effects. It's Photoshop. These are actors. This didn't really happen, yada, yada. And then it would have just went away into obscurity. You'd have had some people that still believed it. But then I think the rest of the world would have kind of just been like, yeah, it was some shit I saw on Instagram or whatever. I don't know. One of my friends linked to it. Like, my crazy ass uncle, putting up some conspiracy theory shit. I mean, am I wrong? Like, do you think?
No, I don't think you're wrong.
Because I was just like, well, that was your master plan. Like, I'm going to show them on video. Like, that's it. It would have been a lot more convincing if you could have been in a public forum where other people could have saw it.
Yeah.
Because the only people who were eyewitnesses are the police and the Black Clover people who aren't finna fucking come forward and be like, yes, this did happen.
Well, then his son saw it, the girl saw it, and his mom saw it. But
Yeah.
they already know.
Yeah, but then people just be like, oh, they were just actors.
True.
Oh, they're related to these people or they know these people, so of course they're going to lie for them.
Yeah.
You could have easily said that. I don't know. Like, 90% of the movie, I was with it. But then when we get to the end and the twists start coming up, I'm just like, I'm not totally feeling this. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't have did that. It is cool, though, that the ending to this is a catalyst to kind of jumpstart a Shyamalan cinematic universe of other superhero movies. But since this is the end, I would have preferred him not to have done that. Because it's like, don't end this movie like and say shit like, oh, it's an origin story, and then do this slow pan out where like all these people are looking at their phones and it's on the TVs, on the news and shit like, oh, we're changing the world and everyone's gonna know. And all these new superheroes are going to come out, but we're never going to see that shit.
No.
So it was like, if that's what you were going to go for in the very end, I would have preferred you just not to have done that. Because you're not going to follow up on it. And we know you're not going to follow up on it. So it's kind of a empty promise of future characters and movies that we're never going to see. And if you were going to wrap it up the way you did and kill everybody off and all that shit, I would have just preferred it to just ended that way and left it alone. Like, I almost feel like that second twist with Elijah exposing everything, that he kind of put that in at the last minute because he probably went back and looked at the story and was like, yeah, this ends really depressingly. Like, like Elijah gets the shit beat out of him and he dies. The Beast gets shot in the stomach and he dies all sad, and I drowned David in a fucking mud puddle. And like this is a real downer ending to the movie. Like, maybe I should give people hope and give some uplifting, like, yes, there will be more superheroes, Unbreakable 3. Like, no, we're never going to get that movie, so don't tease that, that's what you're going for. Now, if he does, I would forgive a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie if I knew that there would be more movies down the road. But there's not. So it's like, as it stands, I'm kind of disappointed that he would go that route. Cause it's like,
has he just flat out come and said that he's not making another one?
I would have to look it up to be sure, because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I'm about 85% sure that he has said that he's not going to make another one.
Okay.
That
You
this
just
is
keep
the
saying it. And
conclusion to the trilogy.
I'm like, okay.
Like, this story is done. Because, I mean, this is the only movie that he's... Unbreakable or Split in this is the only movies that he's ever made a sequel to his original movie.
Yeah.
Like, there is no sequel to The Sixth Sense. There's no sequel to The Happening, Signs, The Village... I'm sure he wanted a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, but that shit ain't happening. But yeah, or After Earth or anything like that, or The Visit. None of those movies have sequels. Mm-hmm. This is the only movie that he actually continued the same story with the same characters. And we didn't even know Split was a sequel until the end.
Yeah.
So, going off of his track record, I don't see him doing another one.
Okay.
He likes making original stories, and kudos to him. That's why I'm like, I keep saying I don't like what he did per se, but I can respect it. Because I'm like, you don't get a lot of original stories, and you sure as hell don't get a lot of original stories in a superhero genre.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, if this is what he decided to go and do with his story, I don't necessarily like it, but I can respect it. I mean, that being said, how did you... I guess for you personally, because you said that you didn't mind it and you got, because I know you couldn't really talk about it before we did the spoilers, but you were satisfied with the way it ended, right?
Yeah.
Like, were you not, I mean, now that you've heard my case for it, were you not as well kind of disappointed that, you know, this is it? Like,
I
this is how
wish
it all
they
ends?
would have made another one, but...
But even then, like, because like I said, you know, you love James McAvoy as Kevin, and he's
I'd watch
on.
like 5 more movies with him in it, so...
Split 1 through 7.
Yeah, I would have.
And it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I could have even forgave him killing off all 3 characters if the way it went down would have been different. Like I said, the easiest fix could have been David never gets out of the tank again. Because technically, it didn't even make sense for him not to die in the tank, because when he drowned, if he'd have drowned in the tank and never broke out and got out, the movie wouldn't have changed, because he never does anything after that point because he's too weak.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just drown him in the puddle, because that's how they were able to kill him, because he was weakened from that. So they could have killed him in the tank when he was fighting the beast, let the beast win. The beast comes out, his son exposes what Elijah did. The beast kills Elijah. The girl calms him down. He gets shot. There you go. All 3 characters are still dead. Nothing changed besides David never gets out of the tank again.
Yeah.
But because of how they did that, I was just like, man, like that just left a bad taste in my mouth. And honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I almost want to go down to a meh. Because I'm just like, that ending just, man. It's like, why did you do it that way? Like, you could have still had the same outcome, but just changed the course of events that got us there. Either way, I mean, like I said, go see it. You know, it is a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that if you haven't seen it and you listen to the spoiler part, that I didn't completely ruin your, you know...
Just don't listen to him.
Right, expectations for it. But like I said, when the lights came up and everything else, I looked dead at you and I knew by the face you had, like, you better not say nothing bad about this shit.
Because I thought you were going to start saying something bad. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no. I was like, no, I liked it. I do like the movie. I would watch it again. I liked it. I just don't agree with some of the decisions that were made. That's my final point on that. So anyway, kids, thank you for joining us for this review of Glass. I hope you enjoyed this. I am interested in knowing your thoughts, though. So if you would like to share, go ahead and leave it in the comments of however you're listening to and or watching this. I would love to know how you guys felt about the movie. Am I wrong? Amber's right. Is Amber wrong and I'm right?
Amber's always right.
Did you feel disappointed by the movie? Did you have different expectations? Was it too slow? Not enough action? Did you like the plot twist? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But that is going to be it for us. Thank you for joining us again for this review, and we are out of here. Tell the people bye, Amber.
Bye.
That is it for the show. Benwah, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you.
I'm not gonna give my address out and dox myself on the internet.
You know
Man,
they've already pinpointed you anyway, so you might as well.
If your people call my people, we'll do lunch.
Wow. But remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love. So go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
And if you would like to reach me personally, you can find me on Twitter at FroggyBeaver. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, you just want to say hi, you can always email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks as a show. You can find us on Reddit, Facebook, Instagram. All you have to do is search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye!